In the noisy classroom, everyone was either chatting, dozing off, busy doing homework, or glued to their phones playing that damn game. A student from the next class commented on the main character, Adonis. Playing games again? Adonis wondered to himself, what is this? Two other guys jumped in. Still gaming in such a sacred place like school? Ha ha, what an idiot. Hearing that, Adonis got annoyed. Are you kidding me? Look at your desk, it's full of power banks. Everyone's watching Adonis play games, checking out his gaming skills. Ha ha ha. He angrily thought to himself, this is all because you assholes made me do this. Adonis seemed like he had 10 hands playing games on 10 phones lined up in front of him. He was a gamer, or more accurately, a student forced to game for free. Feeling frustrated, Adonis thought, I don't even want to do this. I'm 18 this year, but I'm an unwilling gamer. My days are spent furiously playing games on other people's phones, and I can't stop complaining I hate this. Someone said, wow, you're really good at gaming. That like comment felt like an attack to Adonis. He angrily thought, who the hell said that? But in front of him stood Do Wan, an 18-year-old girl praising him. Even with all my practice, I can't play that well, he exclaimed in surprise. Do Wan, the school goddess. Why is she in my class? He noticed she was holding a phone and the screen showed a game interface. It was only then that Adonis realized the goddess also played this game. He immediately asked, oh, you're playing life game. Among the boys at his school, there wasn't a single one who didn't want to get close to Do Wan. Of course, Adonis was no exception. Aaron replied, yeah, I get a bet with someone, but right now, I'm at the bottom. Adonis thought to himself that she probably didn't have someone like him, who was always getting bullied. He hesitated and said, well. His hesitation made Do Wan look at him a bit confused. Adonis blurted out, I can't believe someone like me is actually talking to Do Wan. Seizing the moment, Adonis suggested, Leggy help you play. She laughed and replied, it's fine, you're busy too. He immediately blurted out, I play if I feel like it. This was Adonis' first conversation with Do Wan. Then he added, there's this saying, life is a game, which means the more you play games, the more it helps in life, right? She laughed out loud. Ha ha, that's not what the saying means. When Adonis heard her laugh for the first time, he was so excited and wondered to himself, she's laughing? Did she really just laugh? I wonder if I can get closer to Do Wan now. Then he spoke up asking, what's the secret to this game? Do you know? Suddenly, a voice interrupted saying, Aaron, what are you doing with him here? That's another girl, also a friend of Do Wan, she explained. The girl asked, is this your friend? Do Wan replied, no, I'm waiting for you. Her friend said, sorry about that. Everyone was already gone to eat. Let's hurry up. Hearing that, Adonis immediately thought to himself, right, what have I even to her? And I thought she might stay behind. Do Wan didn't even forget to say goodbye. Well, guess that's it for me. He continued, keep dreaming, buddy, but she probably doesn't even know my name. Then, unexpectedly, Do Wan stopped and said, oh, thanks, Adonis. Suddenly, when he heard her say his name for the first time, his face turned bright red. He mumbled to himself, oh, she knows my name? Now I can die happy. Just then, distracted for a moment, his phone buzzed with a notification that his game character had died, which startled him back to reality. He looked down at his phone, confused. Ha! The character of the game had been defeated. Adonis was panicking inside. What's going on? I just stopped talking for a moment and I'm already dead. The character in the game cried out in pain. Ah! The system announced, you have died. Penalty, you have dropped the heavenly sword. This left him extremely frightened. Oh no, what? I dropped the heavenly sword again. He grabbed his hair and leaned in close, his face pale, unable to believe it. This sword was Chill-Woo's favorite weapon. If that crazy schizophrenic guy found out, he'd kill him for sure. As soon as the thought crossed his mind, Chill-Woo appeared. Chill-Woo slammed Adonis' head into the table and yelled, you shit. He glared at him. I told you not to take your eyes off the screen. That monster was Min Chill-Woo, 18 years old, pinning him to the table. Adonis could only stutter. I'm sorry, Chill-Woo. His mind automatically started counting down, and then Adonis looked up and said, I'll give you my heavenly sword, so please calm down. Hearing this, Chill-Woo let go of Adonis, then casually said, oh, really? Why didn't you say so earlier? But soon enough, Chill-Woo reached behind him and flashed a terrifying smile. You think it's over just like that? Adonis started counting in his head again. In the blink of an eye, he swung his hand and slapped Adonis, causing the corner of his mouth to bleed. Do Wan's phone also slipped from her hand and hit the ground. Adonis continued his train of thought. Every time he found himself in a situation like this, he couldn't help but think that the saying life is like a game seemed to apply only to people like them. They always trample on the weak to satisfy themselves, trying to climb the social ladder at school. Chiyowu delivered a sudden kick to Dowan's side. The unexpected attack caught him off guard. To them, it was all about beating up and bullying Dowan to show off their power. In their eyes, Dowan was just a low-level creature to be crushed in order to level up, getting beaten up without mercy. Now Dowan lay helpless on the floor. Tables and chairs were scattered all around him. Chiyowu spoke up. "Good job. Dowan, you can't do anything other than play games, so just focus on that. I started Lost RPG again recently, but the loot's all garbage, so I can't hunt anything. Here's the deal. Within a week, you have to get me the Fire King sword from Fire King." Dowan stared, stunned by his request, and stammered in anger. "Why you? Are you kidding me? Chiyowu, how am I supposed to get a legendary item like that in just 1 week?" Chiyowu, as if realizing something, spoke again. "You were too busy flirting with Ju Aaron earlier to pay attention to your phone, huh? Acting all red-faced like some awkward teenager. It's disgusting." Dowan was caught off guard, embarrassed by the way that crazy guy had found his weak spot. He immediately became flustered. He smirked and said, "Looks like I need to give you some extra motivation. During this 1-week spring break, if you don't get it, I'll strip you down to your underwear and beat you half to death right in front of that bitch Ju Aaron." He leaned in close, threatening, making Dowan shiver in fear. Then Chiyowu suddenly burst out laughing, which startled Dowan. Ha ha ha. A moment later, his friends showed up and they cheerfully invited him out. "Hey, Chiyowu, spring break starts tomorrow, right? How about a few drinks tonight with some pretty girls?" one of them asked. "Are they cute?" Chiyowu replied. Dowan just sat there, filled with anger. That damn dog. He looked down at his phone screen. His character had been dead for who knows how long. He cursed under his breath. Damn this crappy game. Dowan silently vowed to himself. I hate playing games. That's just something I say when I'm getting bullied. In fact, you're a true gamer. Back in the present, Dowan was happily sitting in his gaming chair, wearing a pair of pink cat ear headphones. Spring break had arrived, so he wouldn't have to deal with the trashy crowd at school anymore. His mom was away on a business trip, which meant he could finally play games to his heart's content. He grinned widely. "But do you guys know why I'm so carefree right now?" he said. "That's because I've reached the highest level in Lost RPG. At that point, my character was ranked 100 and its name was Dark Chocolate Pie. Once I reached the highest level, hunting became way too easy, so I stopped playing. In real life, I'm the guy who always gets picked on, always shrinking away. But in the game, it's different. My character unleashes this super powerful skill, Destroy Chaos. If only life could be like that, I wonder if I'd be any different." Then Dowan thought to himself, "Stop dreaming and get the Fire King sword. There's other stuff to do." But the result was that during a battle with Fire King Manhwa, his character ended up face down. "You died." Dowan was stunned. "I died. How did that happen?" In an instant, a bad feeling crept up in his chest. His gut instincts had never been wrong before. In the game feature update list, the maximum character level has been raised to 200. The difficulty of the current bosses has increased significantly, and the drop rate for legendary items has noticeably decreased. This left Dowan completely shocked. He broke out in a cold sweat, and after a moment, an empty energy drink was placed on the ground. The system notification popped up. Yuukin logged in for more than 18 hours. His character continued using the Destroy Chaos skill. He happily thought to himself, "All right, now I've got it." The Fire King Magmaros in front of him was finally defeated, and the battlefield was filled with smoke and flames after a long night of grinding. He had finally gotten used to its attack patterns. A while later, the number of empty energy drink cans and unfinished instant noodle cups began to pile up. Another system warning appeared. Yuukin logged in for more than 37 hours. When the Fire King sword dropped, Dowan shouted in frustration, "Why is it always these useless items?" The sword was a rare item with a level of 100, but it still didn't meet the legendary sword requirements that Chiyowu had set. Dowan frantically shook his computer and said, "If the difficulty is increased, the drop rate should have gone up, not down." Everything had a reason. On the recharge interface, a big banner appeared. First time recharge bonus, which included a 5-fold increase in item drop rates, extra experience points, and 10 times more gold. Dowan stammered, "So that's what it is." Then he screamed, "Bloodsuckers." Another stretch of time had passed. He had eaten 2 whole cups of instant noodles and drank a ton of energy drinks to stay awake. The system notification popped up. Yuukin logged in for over 64 hours. His piggy bank, which had been filled with pocket money, was now empty. He screamed, "It's over," and buried his face in his hands in frustration. "I spent all my money. Why hasn't it shown up yet?" Dowan was going crazy in front of the screen, then slumped his head down onto the desk, sighing, "I'm so tired, I'm going to die." A few days later, all the instant noodles and energy drinks he had stockpiled were gone. The system chimed in again. You have been logged in for over 144 hours. He stared wide-eyed at the screen. The problem wasn't with the drop rate. It was that it was taking him way too long to defeat the boss on his own. Since his level was too low, no one wanted to team up with him. With just one day left, he imagined the embarrassment he would face in front of Ju Erin. The thought of it was unbearable. Hadawan couldn't help but cry. Damn it, I should have known that bastard Min Chiel-woo was messing with me from the start. A new notification popped up. Buff to increase drop rate will expire in 8 minutes. He thought to himself, it's almost over. I'm out of options now. In front of the Fire King, Hadawan's character seemed like it was waiting to die. But just when that thought crossed his mind, a high-level player appeared and came to his rescue. The player swung his sword at the boss, and with just one strike, he turned the situation around, leaving Hadawan completely stunned. The character that Hadawan had thought was incredibly arrogant showed up. The player's name was the creator of the end. Hadawan stammered, unbelievable, one hit, he killed Magmaros, and he's soloing too. The player sent a message, are you looking for a group? Hadawan, a little embarrassed, replied, yeah. The player responded again, just so happens, I need a slave to pull the boss. Hadawan found that a bit strange. Why was this guy talking so weirdly? He seemed totally off, like he had lost his mind. Damn, this guy is seriously messed up, like he's gone insane and there's no coming back. Hadawan replied, I am a loyal servant and also a close friend of His Highness, hoping to stand by your side and protect you. In real life, Hadawan was praying desperately. He couldn't afford to lose this person. The other player stayed silent, hesitating, making Hadawan anxious. Inside, he kept repeating, please, please, I'm begging you. The other player replied, friends? That sounds interesting. I'll allow you to join me. He was so excited, he immediately knelt down and thanked the prince for his grace. Hadawan cheered inside his head. It worked. After playing the game for a while, the system notification popped up. You have received the Fire King's Sword of Fire King. Hadawan joyfully exclaimed, it's here. The Fire King's Sword of Fire King is here. Then another similar notification appeared. Hadawan felt like he'd hit the jackpot. Wow, 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 I got 2 of them. But as he looked closer, he realized, wait a minute, this wasn't the Fire King's Sword, it was the Fire God's Sword. The item details showed, Fire King's Sword of Fire God, mythical weapon, item level 200. Hadawan shouted with excitement, this is amazing. Now this is truly a mythical item. He quickly calculated the time in his head. A week of hard work definitely hadn't gone to waste. If he sold this, he could make a ton of money. After completing the quest, Hadawan came up with a new idea. I shouldn't be too greedy. Then he called out, hey, Your Highness. The other player turned around. Hadawan thought to himself, it's all thanks to this crazy kid. He then held the sword out in front of the player. Here you go. The other player looked surprised. You really want to give this to me? He replied, yes. The other player expressed his gratitude. I've been hunting today just for this. Hadawan cheerfully said, look how happy he is. You were so tired staring at the computer screen and now you can finally rest. A sense of relief washed over him and his eyelids felt like they were about to close. Hadawan sluggishly got up from his chair, still in good mood, and said, great, the spring break is finally over. I'll take a nap before school. But as soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly felt lightheaded and dizzy, then collapsed to the floor. Huh? Hadawan broke out in a cold sweat, confused and stunned. What's going on? He suddenly remembered the news stories he had read. A 17-year-old boy died suddenly from a heart attack due to gaming addiction, playing nonstop. A boy died after 3 days of continuous gaming. A 16-year-old died from dehydration after days of gaming. A 30-year-old man took his last breath in an internet cafe due to gaming addiction. A student was paralyzed on one side of his body after playing for 20 hours straight. Basically, it's caused by lack of sleep, malnutrition, and consuming too much caffeine in 1 week. Add to that an excited mental state, and suddenly, the body just gives out. Hadawan's eyes went wide as he realized everything. So that's it, playing too much will kill you. In that moment, time seemed to stop as he was overwhelmed with regret. Mom, I'm so sorry for leaving so soon. Don't be too shocked when you get home. In the end, I died from gaming for those bullies. It's really messed up. Before closing his eyes for the last time, Hadawan muttered, I didn't die while playing a game. I just wanted to live a life like a game. With a loud thud, his body collapsed heavily to the floor. Even though he had fallen, Hadawan's subconscious kept murmuring, and that bastard Chiel-woo, I swear I'll curse you even if I die. If I had known this would happen, I would have left a suicide note. Suddenly, in the pitch-black darkness, a system notification popped up. Player Hadawan. Hadawan was stunned when he saw this. The system has announced that based on your lifestyle and tendencies, we will assign you a profession. Hadawan wondered, what the heck is this window? A moment later, the system completed its analysis and sent the notification. You have been assigned a common profession. Helpless gamer. He stared at the profession, confused. Helpless? What the heck does that even mean? Another notification appeared, activating a quest event. Do you accept? Hadawan looked at it in confusion and asked, accept what? What is this? What the heck is going on? Before he could make a decision, the system automatically chose for him. Confirmed. Acceptance processed in the player's mind. Quest has been accepted. Hadawan screamed internally, am I going crazy? The system displayed its final message. You have been resurrected at the time-space coordinates set by the administrator. Hadawan suddenly woke up. There were so many questions he wanted to ask, but the first thing he noticed was the classroom around him. It was the moment when he had been deep into his game. Hadawan hesitated. Wait, this place. He turned around, disbelieving. The other students were chatting just like usual, while Hadawan stood there dazed. Isn't this my classroom? Suddenly, a voice rang out, well then, I'll leave it to you. Startled, he quickly turned around. It was exactly the scene where Ju Erin was asking him for a favor. She waved happily and said, hey, thanks, Dawan. He thought to himself that this was the day before the spring break. Hadawan froze, his limbs went limp. Oh my god, what's going on? This is so scary. Noticing that he didn't respond, she asked with a hint of worry, what's wrong? She was a little concerned. He didn't seem happy. Could it be that he only agreed to help out of obligation because of her? A friend from the end of the hallway called out to Ju Erin, I'm starving. Let's go eat. Ju Erin quickly ran after her, saying, yeah, sorry. Dawan sat there, dumbfounded, having an inner monologue. What is going on? Didn't I already die? Is all of this just a dream? But if that's the case, then why does this feel even more like a dream? Suddenly, an information screen appeared in front of Dawan, leaving him confused. The system info board displayed his character details. Name. Hadawan level. 1. Occupation. Helpless gamer. He muttered to himself, this looks exactly like the character info window in a game. Oh my god, even in my dream. I'm a gamer, and I even get the helpless part added. In the blink of an eye, another notification popped up, making Hadawan jump in shock. The message read, the special effect of the helpless gamer has been activated. Hadawan muttered to himself, that scared the life out of me. The notification changed to display a new message. All accumulated experience points from all the games you played will be transferred to the player. He paused, thinking, wait, does this mean all the experience points from every game I've ever played since I became a gamer? He remembered the countless games he played, his eyes wide in disbelief. If all of that is added up, that's insane. The system interface began processing, calculating the experience points. Hadawan whispered to himself, if this is a dream, then I wouldn't mind staying in it. Suddenly from behind, Chiu slammed his head down onto the table, cursing. Hadawan, you idiot. He glared at him. I told you not to take your eyes off the screen. This was a scene replayed in vivid detail. Hadawan silently muttered Min Chiu-woo's name. Yes, everything started from this moment. His face was pushed hard against the table, blood dripping from his nose. Hadawan gritted his teeth in a furious rage. It's because of you that I had to go through all this. He asked again, hey, Hadawan, are you giving me a dirty look? The defiance in your eyes has really pissed this crazy guy off. Dawan thought to himself, oh, this bastard is scary even in my dreams, but he seemed even angrier now. It seemed like Dawan still hadn't realized he had provoked a mad dog. Chiu-woo grabbed him by the collar and asked, what did you mean by that? He stammered, Min Chiu-woo, I didn't mean it like that. Dawan thought, all right, fine, just hit me. It's only a dream anyway. Even if I get hit, it won't hurt. What's there to be afraid of? Everything seemed to rewind itself. And then, smack, Chiu-woo slapped Dawan hard across the face, making his mouth bleed. But Dawan was wrong. Oh, why does it hurt so much? Dawan was genuinely terrified. He realized this wasn't a dream. Chiu-woo immediately kicked him hard in the stomach and then started hitting him repeatedly for being disrespectful. Dawan was dizzy from the blows and crashed into the table. Chiu-woo was still furious. He said, the more I think about it, the angrier I get. I'm not stopping until I'm done with you. Hearing those dangerous words from him, Hadawan, his lips swollen and in excruciating pain, thought to himself, how long is this going to go on? At this rate, I'll be dead before he calms down. Suddenly, Chu Erin opened the classroom door and called out, Hadawan, I'm here to pick up my phone. At that moment, he didn't expect anything unusual. She too was shocked by the scene in front of her and gasped, oh. He turned to look at Ju Erin, panic clearly showing on his face. Why is she here? Before he could think any further, Chiu-woo's fist came swinging at him. By the time Hadawan realized what was happening, he managed to think just one thing: why are you here? But then Chiolwoo's punch landed squarely on his face. The force was so strong that saliva flew from his mouth. Do Wan was knocked down, crashing onto the podium. Ju Erin, clearly worried, called out Do Wan. Chiolwoo only seemed more excited. He grabbed Do Wan by the collar and threatened, "Stop pretending to be weak. Stand up straight, you worthless dog." Do Wan couldn't fight back at all. All he could do was groan in pain. "I really am a loser." Unable to hold back anymore, Ju Erin yelled, "Hey, Min Chiolwoo." But her words had no effect. Chiolwoo kept hitting him. At that moment, Do Wan's mind went blank. It turned out that getting beaten in front of the girl you like is even worse than he imagined. He felt utterly useless. As Chiolwoo continued to strike him, Ju Erin rushed over trying to stop him. "What are you doing? Stop it!" When her pleas didn't work, she grabbed his hand and shouted, "Stop it." This caught the attention of the crazy guy. He let go of Do Wan, who immediately started coughing and gasping for air. Min Chiolwoo turned to Ju Erin and asked, "Oh, are you defending her? Why are you so nosy?" He seemed to get even more enraged. Grabbing her hair, he cursed, "You bitch, you get a few guys telling you you're pretty, praising you like you're some kind of goddess, and now you think you're all that, huh?" Ju Erin screamed in pain. She yelled, "Let go of me. I'll call the teacher." Seeing the bully harass the girl he liked made had Do Wan feel terrible. It was all his fault. Ju Erin was only in this situation because of him. He couldn't stand to watch her get hurt. He had to save her. But the fear inside him was stronger than any encouragement in his mind. He kept telling himself to act to help her. But how could he? Hurry, he had to do something. He couldn't just stand there. Please help her, save her. But he couldn't do it. It was terrifying. Act, do something, hurry. If I don't act now, it's all my fault. Do something, but I can't. I have to act, but I just can't. Then, had Do Wan collapsed to his knees, trembling. Until Chiolwoo was about to slap Erin, he cursed, "Don't be stupid, you bastard." Do Wan immediately rushed forward from behind, raising his fist. Despite the action, deep down, he told himself he really couldn't do this. His determination flared up again, but now he had to act. Had Do Wan landed the final punch to Chiolwoo's face, shouting, "Get your hands off her, you dog." This move also caught Erin off guard. Who would have guessed that Chiolwoo would take Do Wan's punch? He was getting ready to strike back, which terrified Do Wan. He had already anticipated the outcome in his mind. Chiolwoo's fist slowly moved toward him, and Do Wan couldn't help but think, "Does it even matter if I act now?" But suddenly, in that brief moment, it felt like he was reborn. The system kept upgrading, calculating his experience points. Your experience points are full. You have advanced to a rare profession, prospective gamer. Your experience points are full. You have advanced to a heroic gamer. Your experience points are full. You have advanced to an elite gamer hero. The exclusive skill for his profession was unlocked, Destroy Chaos. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. Do Wan unleashed his special move, relentlessly pounding his opponent's face. Chiolwoo's face swelled up, with blood and spit flying everywhere. Do Wan's fighting ability left Erin so stunned that she had to cover her mouth with her hand. You look at what you've just done and immediately think, wait, that skill looks really familiar. It's like the one from that game I played during spring break. Isn't it the same skill the system gave me? Wasn't that a skill from the game? You sit down on the ground, stammering, What's going on here? Right after you take down Chiolwoo, the system screen pops up with a congratulatory message from the administrator. "You've surprised me, my friend. This is a gift I offer you for your kindness." You feel confused by words like "I," "friend," and "surprise." They all seem so familiar. Do Wan mutters to himself, "Is this the tone of that arrogant little punk?" Yes, the first person who comes to mind is the creator of the end. Had Do Wan thinks about what he's done, it's kindness. Could it be the Fire King's sword from the fire god that he gave? Before, Do Wan was the one lying unconscious on the classroom floor. Now, it's the thug Min Chiolwoo. The system screen shows, "You've defeated the boss Min Chiolwoo. You've earned 200 experience points. Your current experience is 99,999,999,827 out of 99,999,999,999. Then the number jumps up, showing that you're nearly at the next level. The system immediately notified, "Your experience is full. You have reached the final profession. The player has been sealed." Do Wan stared at the screen, sweat pouring down his face, unable to believe his eyes. What the hell is this? Since that day, someone who wanted to live like they were in a game watched as the system notifications kept popping up, all showing level up messages. Do Wan screamed, "What are all these things?" A bunch of system messages blocked his view, and they were all about leveling up. You have reached the maximum level. Health has reached the maximum value. Attack power has reached the maximum value. All active skills have been unlocked. Awareness has reached the maximum value. Quest completed. Defense has reached the maximum value. All passive skills have been unlocked. Agility has reached the maximum value. Mana has reached the maximum value. Do Wan sat there, stunned, unable to believe what he was seeing, wondering to himself, can I use all the skills from the games I've played? Arin looked over at the person lying on the ground, confused about what had happened. Then, turning to Do Wan with concern, she asked, Do Wan, are you hurt anywhere? As soon as he finished speaking, he groaned in pain. She panicked. Do Wan, your face is hurt. Ignoring her, Do Wan suddenly looked up at the sky and, terrified, said, what's going on? Arin immediately ran out of the classroom, telling him, wait here, I'll go get the nurse. He snapped back to reality, disappointed, and wondered, am I going crazy? Then memories started flooding back from when Do Wan had been playing games to the point of passing out, to waking up and finding himself back in class. He thought, crap, did I just go back in time? From seeing the system status screen in front of him to being able to use skills in the game, it all made sense because he had been a hardcore gamer since he was young. When he was a kid, Do Wan once handed in a homework assignment for the teacher to grade. It was a book report titled The Time I Became a Level 100 Gamer. His next report was titled How I Didn't Meet the NPC Adopted by the Royal Family and Awakened a Legendary Skill. After reading it, the teacher was so furious that his face turned bright red, and he couldn't hold back his anger. The only books Do Wan ever read were fantasy novels, so his instincts told him something. This situation felt exactly like the scenes in those novels. He was the protagonist with supernatural powers, capable of defeating any enemy. Do Wan thought about this happy turn of events and couldn't help but laugh out loud. On the information board, it showed that Do Wan had reached level 100, with his class being Sealed Gamer. He quietly said to himself, just as expected, no doubt about it, I'd gained the same kind of power as all the other main characters. As he looked over his current stats, he realized he had reached the peak. His stamina was 50,000 out of 50,000, mana was 5,000 out of 5,000, attack was 1,000, defense was 1,000, agility was 1,000, and courage was 1,000. Do Wan thought to himself, I'm so strong. Suddenly, another system message popped up, announcing that the abilities of the Sealed Gamer would now be applied. He wondered, is there more? Without warning, a red emergency alert appeared. All powers have been unlocked. All attributes have been reset to 1. Strength has been locked. Health has decreased. All offensive skills have been locked. Strength has been locked. All defensive skills have been locked. Defense has decreased. Stamina has decreased. After reading the series of notifications, Do Wan was stunned as his rosy dreams shattered. His attribute board now only showed one line. Attributes have been sealed. This left Do Wan in complete shock. Even though the information board still displayed that he was level 100, his attribute points were sealed. His stats had dropped dramatically. Health was now only 1,000, mana was down to just 10. Attack was 1, defense was 1, agility was 1, and courage was 1. He gasped, What is going on? Down and frustrated, asked the system, you said this is the final job, so why am I still so weak? Don't tell me I have to start over with all this garbage stats. Are you messing with me? Before he could finish his sentence, a mission notification suddenly popped up. The event mission, Raging Fury, is complete. You have defeated the monster Min Chiolwu. Reward, Golden Key. Do Wan was confused. Event mission, another notification appeared. A new event mission is available. Do you accept it? He asked himself. What the hell is this? He muttered. Before he could respond, the system quickly scanned his sentence structure and automatically confirmed the choice. It confirmed that he had accepted the mission based on his thoughts. Mission accepted. Do Wan was left bewildered. What the hell is going on? Immediately, a golden key fell from the sky. He turned around, still confused. The system displayed mission complete, reward received, golden key. The next day was just another normal school day. But as Do Wan walked down the hallway, he overheard a lot of whispering about him. Hey, what's up with Do Wan's face? I already got beaten up by Min Chiolwu. He even broke the teacher's desk. Oh, but just now I saw Min Chiolwu yelling and walking off with his bag. Probably hasn't had enough of the fight. He even caused some trouble with the school nurse. Who said that? Everyone was out for lunch at the time, so there were no witnesses. It's all just speculation. If only we could have caught that on video and posted it on YouTube. Do Wan walked along, staring at the key in his hand. No matter how many times he looked at it, it still seemed like just an ordinary key. But when he checked the details, he saw that it was a legendary item. This golden key was used to be inserted and turned to unlock something. He wondered if its function was really that simple. The description was vague. Well, whatever, he thought, not worth worrying about right now. After thinking for a moment, he sighed and put the key in his pocket. It wasn't the thing on his mind at the moment. What really piqued his curiosity was the ability that the administrator had given him. He thought back to the conversation between the administrator and a player, the creator of the end. There were some similarities, especially with that arrogant tone, or rather, His Majesty's tone. As he walked, Do Wan mused, what does the creator of the end even mean? So old-fashioned. But at the end, he made an effort to call the guy His Majesty. Your Majesty, can you hear me? Still no response. Guess there's no way to verify this. I'll just text him after school. Just as he finished that thought, a system notification popped up, catching him completely off guard. It was a mission alert. He quickly realized this was a quest. The mission was titled A Dangerous Invitation. Tonight, he received an invitation. He needed to accept the mission and become a star. He observed and wondered to himself tonight, I don't even know where it's happening. Suddenly, a boy ran past and they accidentally bumped into each other. Do Wan fell to the ground, clutching his rear, groaning in pain. Oh, my back! The other boy quickly apologized. I'm sorry. I didn't see you there. Are you okay? Do Wan looked at him and responded, do I look like I'm okay? Then he added, I'm the one who should be asking you that. Your nose is bleeding. It was only then that the boy realized his nose was bleeding. In a panic, he started running off. Wait, let me get you some tissues, Do Wan called out. The boy wiped his nose with his sleeve and answered, no need. I'm fine. Do Wan hesitated, then said, but... The boy politely insisted, really, I'm fine. Thanks. Struggling to stand up, the boy looked unsteady and Do Wan, still a little worried, said before they parted ways, okay. Take care of yourself. As Do Wan watched him leave, he felt doubtful. It was just a light bump, and the guy's nose was already bleeding. He seemed even weaker than Do Wan himself. When he entered the restroom, a voice called out to him, Do Wan. He turned around, surprised, and exclaimed, Shin Jamin. It was the same boy who hung out with Min Chiolwoo. He smirked and asked, what a coincidence, huh? I've got something I want to talk to you about. Do Wan, curious, replied, oh, what's up, Jamin? Did you start playing games too? He answered, games? Nah, it's not that. Do Wan was a bit confused. So, what is it then? Jamin put his pod in his mouth and continued, because I've seen everything. At that moment, Do Wan started to feel scared. Seen what? Jamin replied, I saw you beat up Min Chiolwoo pretty badly. Do Wan jumped, feeling a bit of fear, because the whole thing was out in the open now. But quickly, he realized something. Even in his past life, when he got beaten up, Jamin had been standing by the door of his classroom, right? Could it be that Jamin wants to get revenge for Chiolwoo? He'd already been beaten up once and didn't want to go through that again. While Do Wan was mumbling to himself, Jamin walked closer, hands in his pockets, still holding the pod. A strong person hiding their power? Interesting, really interesting, Jamin said. Jamin even casually placed his fist right in front of Do Wan's chest, leaving him frozen in place. Everything was completely different from what Do Wan had imagined. Jamin smiled and said, there's a drinking party with a group of girls tonight. Want to come? Do Wan was totally taken aback. Huh? What's he talking about? Didn't he just say tonight? Tonight was when the mission required him to be there. Was this an invitation for that? But usually, Jamin always hangs out with Chiolwoo. Why is he inviting me now? Do Wan asked again, and are you talking to me? Jamin answered nonchalantly. Who else would I be talking to? A ghost? Do Wan hesitated, but no matter the reason, in most games, every initial quest usually comes with a reward. First, the player accepts the quest, follows the instructions to complete it, and finally levels up to claim their prize from the system. Of course, these rewards would definitely help make the character stronger. Maybe this was the chance to break free from the fate of grinding away by becoming as strong as the characters in the game. At that moment, a system message appeared, do you accept? He hesitated for a long time, but something felt off. Wasn't joining their party basically a death wish? Or would he still have to find a way to get through this nightmare of being bullied on his own? Thinking this, he made an excuse. Actually, I need to visit my grandfather's grave today, so I'll have to pass on this one. Do Wan remembered the quest notification. The title was Dangerous Invitation, and the name alone sounded like a deadly trap. The word dangerous in the quest was so vague it made his skin crawl, but Jamin didn't seem bothered. He just waved it off and said goodbye. Okay. If it's not possible, then forget it. But next time, no backing out, got it? Do Wan waved back, feeling a bit awkward. Yeah, sure. Jamin chuckled. Do Wan felt uncomfortable about the promise he had just made, silently thinking to himself, only a fool would go along with this. Bang! The bathroom door slammed shut, and finally he had a little bit of space to breathe. That was close. He almost didn't make it. Do Wan took a deep breath and looked up. It's probably best not to get involved with those bullies. The system screen showed, you have declined the mission. Penalty will now be applied. He observed it, a little puzzled. Oh, a penalty? The system screen immediately turned red, flashing an urgent message. The pain has begun. Down asked in confusion. What pain? Suddenly, a beam of light appeared almost like a door opening. Now he found himself standing on a grassy field full of water buffalo. One buffalo let out a typical bellow. It seemed ordinary until it started snorting heavily through its nose, an obvious signal that the herd was about to charge. They quickly began to roar and stampede toward Hadawan, one after the other. Oh no! Meanwhile, two male students entered the bathroom, chatting and laughing as they walked. This is so fun, buddy. What's so fun about it? But suddenly, a groan came from below, catching the attention of a male student. Huh? He immediately pointed in shock toward the person lying on the floor. Did he piss himself on the floor? The other student also trembled in fear, guessing, Chiawu is so cruel, even in the bathroom. At that moment, Dowan was lying on the floor in excruciating pain, his face pale, as he stared at the ceiling. While the two students were talking, he let out another painful groan. The system notification appeared, saying that the pain would end in 59 minutes. He read the message in horror. Hadawan gritted his teeth, trembling as he cursed, 59 minutes? Shit, are you kidding me? The system popped up again. You confirm you want to accept the task? Then, a loud scream echoed from the men's bathroom. Everyone outside heard it, looking confused as the bell rang for the end of class. On a brightly lit street, Jamin walked through the busy crowd. After a while, he noticed something ahead and gasped in surprise. Ha! He quickly recognized Dowan's figure, raising his hand in a slight wave, a little surprised. You're early. At this point, Jamin was drenched in sweat. I finally accepted that damn task. Who can stand that 60 minutes? I can't even last 60 seconds. But I was too scared of the punishment, so I had to agree to meet with him. You turned around and greeted Jamin. You're here? He slowly walked closer, confused. Didn't you say you had to go pay respects at the grave? Is it okay for you to be here? You answered confidently, yeah, it's fine. My grandpa said he was busy today and couldn't come. Jamin looked surprised at the mistake in your words. Oh, really? He asked intrigued, did your grandpa go visit the grave by himself? Dowan still hadn't realized his slip-up. He didn't notice he had let something slip. He was still trying to comfort himself, saying, it'll be fine. But I was so worried. I feel like I'm going to lose it. Everything will be okay. Javen gave him a scary smile and said, get ready to enjoy yourself tonight. Dowan, feeling uneasy, wondered, what's with his face? He looks like he's planning something. I better find a way to leave before he does something to me. Quickly, Dowan pulled out his phone, put it to his ear, and pretended to talk. Oh, it's a call. Hello, Grandpa. Oh, you want to come? I have to go now. Just wait a second. Javen's voice interrupted Dowan's fake conversation. The girls are here. A group of 3 girls arrived. The first one showed her phone to the others, happily saying, I told you he was good looking. The second girl was really surprised. Whoa, really? Who is he? Who is he? The third girl answered, he's my tutor. The girl with short hair seemed calm and uninterested. The first girl asked, who wants to get to know him? The second girl immediately volunteered, I do. The girl with short hair finally spoke up, no need. Her quiet beauty struck Dowan, leaving him completely mesmerized to the point where he forgot his way back. Yes, literally forgot the way back. He had agreed to show up at Jamin's private entertainment spot. Dowan told himself that he wasn't there because of this stunningly beautiful girl. He was invited. It would be rude to leave in the middle. Oh my, they had already drunk so much. Are high school students allowed to drink? The table was covered with snacks, energy drinks, and even bottles of alcohol. Jamin was twisting the cap off a bottle, laughing and saying, my friend's older brother works here, so I often come here to drink with him. Dowan awkwardly responded, oh, really? At another table, a girl was singing loudly. Jamin turned back to him, clearly curious, and asked, Dowan, how well can you handle alcohol? Dowan hesitated. I've never drunk before, so I'm not sure. Jamin laughed and said, well then, why don't you give it a try? Even though Dowan had never had alcohol, he still handed his glass to Jamin to pour, feeling a little nervous. I've never drunk before, but Jamin poured the wine and looked at him, saying, don't worry about the money. Feel free to order whatever you want. Today it's on me. He hesitated, thank you. Seeing a stranger suddenly being so kind, had Dowan felt a bit suspicious. Why is he suddenly so nice paying for everything? Well, maybe he's not such a bad guy after all. Then Jamin turned away, sighing disappointedly. My wallet shouldn't have arrived by now, right? The girl who had been singing and dancing energetically continued her moves. Coca-Cola, she sang. Lying breaks hearts when you're in love. Lying hurts when you truly believe in love. Hearing Jamin's words, he wondered, what? What do you mean, my wallet? As the girl shook her hips to the beat, the last male member finally entered the room. Jamin said, oh, you showed up just in time. Jian, is the payment all settled? The boy, with dirt on his face, replied, I'd extended it for another 2 hours. This was the same student Dowan had bumped into earlier that morning. His name was Yu Jian, Jamin's wallet. Wallet here referred to someone who gets exploited, spending money on others without getting anything in return. Do Wan's eyes widened in surprise as she remembered, wait, that's the guy we bumped into this morning, right? He's Jamin's wallet? Is that what he was talking about? Jamin leaned his hand on his knee and said, "Ha, you think we're only staying here for 2 hours? Ha, you're so dumb." His face suddenly changed and he stared at Jian with a look of intense anger, making Do Wan, who was sitting next to him, jump. He stammered, I'm sorry. Jamin then turned to Do Wan and said, "He's so careless, right? Haha." By this point, Do Wan had already been scared by Jamin's earlier behavior. He nervously picked up his food, his mind racing with worry, and the atmosphere shifted dramatically. What was going on with him? He turned to the two of them and asked, "Do you two know each other?" Do Wan answered cautiously, "We go to the same school." Jamin introduced them. "Oh, really? This is Jian, and this is Do Wan." Then he poured a drink for Yu Jian, his tone pretending to be kind. "You should drink too, Jian. Since Do Wan's here, I'll let you off the hook." Jian, just as confused, raised his glass, but instead of pouring a drink into the glass, Jamin tipped it straight onto Jian's pants, laughing as he said, Sorry, my bad. Who told you to wear light-colored pants? Now they're all ruined." Ha ha. Watching Jamin bully Jian, Do Wan couldn't help but think, sorry my ass, this guy's doing it on purpose, even though he knew what kind of situation he was in. But Jian still politely grabbed a tissue to wipe himself off, not complaining at all. "Yeah, I shouldn't have worn light-colored pants," he said. Seeing how patiently Jian was handling it, Do Wan felt angry for him. That's clearly just typical bullying, he thought. Looking back, the situation was pretty strange. His face was bruised, his nose was bleeding, and he had just come out of the bathroom where Shin Jamin was too. How did I get caught up in another bullying incident? Do Wan rubbed his head in frustration, sitting across from a girl, none other than the girl he secretly liked, the one with the short hair. She spoke up. "This is such a hassle. What's with that loser over there?" Another girl chimed in. "Hey, Jamin, sing a song." Jamin replied, "Sing? I just want another drink." "All right, fine. I'll sing a few ballads," the girl said. The other girl seemed surprised. "Wait, why ballads? You should sing something more upbeat." Jamin smiled and said, "Oh, really? Well, let's make it more interesting. Jian, you can dance along with me. How about it?" Jian's eyes widened in fear. After being bullied, having alcohol spilled on his pants, now he might end up embarrassed even more. Do Wan sensed something was off. Are you kidding me? Dance for a ballad? He's trying to humiliate Jian. A female student spoke up. "Ha ha, come on. Don't force him to do that." Jamin responded nonchalantly, "No, he really likes dancing." Then he turned to confirm, "Right, Jian?" Jian just stared at Jamin, saying nothing. Seeing Jian's silence, Jamin put his arm around his shoulders and leaned in close to threaten him. "You dare look at me like that? You want to embarrass me in front of the girls?" After saying that, he returned to his spot. Do Wan, who was sitting in the middle, had heard the whole thing and didn't even realize when sweat started pouring down his face. Jian immediately stood up. "Fine, I'll dance." Jamin grinned. "Huh? Looks like Jian really is cool." The female student chimed in. "This guy is interesting." Ha ha. While everyone else was excited, Do Wan was thinking to himself, "Oh my god, is he really going to dance? Does he have no self-respect left? But if I were threatened like that, I'd probably dance too. He's got everyone in the palm of his hand now." Thinking that, he stood up. "Jamin, I'm going to the bathroom for a bit." Jamin nodded. "Yeah, go ahead." Do Wan thought to himself, "I can't keep watching this." In the men's bathroom, Do Wan was using the restroom while thinking. The only reason he hadn't been targeted yet was because Jamin thought he was someone who was hiding his true strength. In reality, it was just because his strength was sealed. He had no real power or skills. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. It's just a matter of time. My strength will run out sooner or later, and when that happens, I'm finished. If it weren't for that punishment, I would've. Suddenly, Do Wan's eyes widened as he realized something. "Wait, I only came to this drinking party because I was invited. So I can just leave whenever, right? I need to get out of here fast before I get dragged into something worse." He felt bad for his friend Wallet, but there was nothing he could do. With that thought, he grabbed the door handle. Do Wan made his way toward the exit, reassuring himself, "I don't have the power to save anyone. Leaving is the best option." But then he remembered what had just happened. How Jamin had threatened Jian just for daring to look him in the eye, and how Ninchil would have gotten angry because Do Wan had looked at him with hatred in his eyes. Both situations had something in common. Standing at the door, Do Wan hesitated for a moment and started thinking. Both he and I are in similar situations. A few moments later, the door swung open and Do Wan returned to where Jamin was hanging out. Jamin grinned and said, "You're back? I thought you left already." I was waiting forever for you to come back. Ha ha. Do Wan stayed quiet for a second before turning to ask, where is it? Jamin replied, the girls? They went to the bathroom to freshen up. Do Wan shook his head and said, no, not that. He pointed down at Jihan's lower body and asked, where's his pants? Jihan also sarcastically said, oh, I'm just showing concern for him. Jihan just stood there silent. Jamin then picked up a bucket of water, inside which were Jihan's pants, and said, I feel kind of bad since I accidentally spilled wine on his pants, so I'm washing them for him. As Jamin spoke, he smiled brightly, making Do Wan shiver. In that moment, Do Wan cursed silently in his mind, this damn bastard, I'm such a coward now. I shouldn't have stayed quiet. I should have said something. No, don't be afraid. I only have one choice now. Then he raised his hand and gave an order with a firm stance. Give it to me. At that moment, Do Wan thought, I'll pretend to be strong, hide my real strength. If I go all the way, this guy probably won't dare to do anything. Just as Do Wan was trying to act tough, the door behind him suddenly swung open again. A young man walked in. I ran into some trouble on my way here, so I had to stop and take care of them first. As soon as Do Wan saw him, the guy glared and asked, who's this little punk? Do Wan turned around. The guy was big, covered in tattoos, wearing a white shirt, his hair neatly styled, and his clothes stained with blood from the people he just dealt with. When Do Wan saw him, he froze, his body shaking as sweat poured down his face. Jamin, standing behind, cheerfully introduced him. Here he is. Say hi. This is my friend. I told you about him earlier. His older brother works here. Do Wan's mind was trying to process the situation like scanning a QR code. Wait, this guy's a high school student? He looks like someone with 15 years of experience in the underground scene. What's with all the blood? Who did he just take out? Jamin calmly continued, asking about the thing Do Wan had mentioned earlier. Oh, right. What do you want me to give you? Still shaken from the scare, Do Wan turned to him, stuttering. His mind was racing. What do I do now? What do I do? What do I do? So he quickly changed the topic. Gade, give him the mic. I want to sing. Jamin handed him the mic with a smile. Ha ha, I get it now. You should have said something sooner. Seeing that Jamin wasn't upset, Do Wan let out a sigh of relief. Safe. Forget hiding your skills. That was a close call. Suddenly, a system board appeared and the new, dangerous mission was complete. The mission chain had begun. Do Wan looked at Jamin in surprise. Yeah, well, in front of Jamin was another mission board. The name of the mission chain was the Judge of Injustice. Do Wan, holding the mic, was reading the content when he froze. The mission required him to hit Shin Jamin in the head with the mic. The reward was a bronze key, and the time limit was 30 minutes. The mission board appeared in front of him again, showing a linked mission titled The Judge of Injustice. It asked him to hit Shin Jamin in the head with the mic. The reward was a bronze key, and the time limit was 30 minutes. Do Wan was completely confused. Hit him with the mic. His hand holding the mic was shaking as he worried about whether he looked crazy enough to actually do it. There was no way he was going to do it, not even if it killed him. Immediately, a warning line popped up. You'll be penalized if the mission fails. Reading this, Do Wan grew anxious. He broke into a sweat just thinking about the punishment. Could they really be talking about that? Do Wan remembered the image of cows charging at each other madly on the peaceful prairie. One of his eyes twitched in fear. A little while later, Mansion sat down with a group of friends. Jamin smiled at him and said, now you really look like a killer. The other girls joined in, laughing, yeah, you look really tough. The guy holding a beer laughed in response, his face looking terrifying. Well, I probably scared those punks so much earlier that they pissed themselves, and the blood splattered on my face. But when the body moved slightly, he immediately frowned and gave an irritated look toward the person who was making a chair for him. The one making the chair was none other than Jihan. He was sweating, struggling under the weight of the large man, his body shaking uncontrollably. Manshan then said, Dan, is this a human-shaped chair or what? The store even put pants on it, but this damn guy doesn't know anything. Jamin couldn't help but laugh at the joke, laughing so hard that he couldn't even stand up. Oh shit, that's funny. Manshan added, if you let me fall, I'll punch you. Watching the intimidating bullying scene unfold, Do Wan couldn't help but think, how did this happen? I thought making me hit Shin Jamin's head was already bad enough. But what's worse is, Manshan suddenly stood up and asked, but is it true? Jamin, surprised, asked, what's true? The guy moved closer to Do Wan, looked at him closely, and then turned to Jamin, asking, did this kid really beat up Min Chio that badly? Do Wan let out a sigh of relief and continued thinking. The tattooed pig kept getting closer. Jamin replied cheerfully, it's fine. Do Wan's not joking around. Manshun assessed the situation and thought, no matter how you looked at it, this guy was just trash. At that moment, Do Wan was stuck between two crazy people. He tried his best to look unafraid, thinking to himself, if I complete the mission, these guys will definitely kill me. He remembered how much more terrifying those bulls had been. He continued thinking, if I can't finish the mission, I'll die by those things. If only I could use my skills like before, he thought. At least I have the courage to try. Just then, the skill menu appeared. One unlocked skill caught his attention. It was the same skill he had used to strike Min Chiolwoo. But when he clicked on it, a message popped up. Destroy Chaos skill costs 200 mana. It was a technique that used a series of consecutive strikes to deal damage, but it was currently sealed. Do Wan was furious. I'll die because of this damn seal. I'm finished. Just as that thought crossed his mind, Do Wan clutched his head in pain, which made Jamin, who was sitting next to him drinking, notice something was off. A system message appeared. 15 minutes remaining. Javen turned to him and said, but Do Wan, I'm kind of curious about something. He replied, Javen got straight to the point. Why are you letting yourself be treated like this? You have the ability to beat Min Chiolwoo, don't you? Do Wan thought to himself, I can't exactly say it's because I've been playing a lot of games. How do I answer this? He hesitated and finally said, well, it's kind of hard to explain. Javen quickly said, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. You probably have your reasons. The reason I called you here is to tell you something. Surprised, Do Wan asked, you want to tell me something? Do Wan wondered, could this be something important? Maybe he's about to say that if I keep hanging around here, I'm going to die. Jamin stood up, put his hand on Do Wan's shoulder, and said proudly, let's shake hands. Do Wan was completely caught off guard as he shook his hand. Is he trying to be friends? Do Wan thought, looking at Jamin with a confused expression, not understanding what was going on. Jamin, almost sounding a little crazy, laid out his whole plan. I need strong people like you to join my group, Do Wan. Together, we'll take over the Gwanak district. Do Wan was stunned inside. Take over Gwanak? What for? Why not do it yourself, you weirdo? Javen continued, of course, this isn't some offer that's going to leave you with nothing. Javen said, glancing around the room, his eyes scanning the food and drinks on the table as if trying to convince Do Wan. There was alcohol, cigarettes, food, and beautiful women, all of it. Then his gaze shifted to Jian and he said, money and power are natural things. He turns to the group of girls and added, and there are other things too. You can have whatever you want. Do Wan stared blankly at the girls in front of him, wondering to himself, do you really think I'll give in to this obvious temptation? No way. For me, just playing games is enough, he replied, but I don't really want anything special. Ha ha. After hearing Do Wan's answer, Jamin stared at him like he was some lifeless doll. Do Wan kept thinking to himself, I don't want anything to do with people like you anymore. People who enjoy bullying others. Suddenly, Jamin spoke again. Do Wan, don't tell me you still want to be a substitute gamer for someone else. Hearing that, Do Wan felt as if someone had thrown glue at him, freezing him in place. Javen went on, you have to get revenge on those assholes who bullied you. Your position and theirs will swap. Do Wan was taken aback, his mind racing. Swapping places with the people who had tormented him? Does that mean if I join Shin Jamin, I won't be treated like this anymore? Immediately, fragments of memories of Do Wan as a substitute gamer in class flooded back. Then Jamin casually stood up and said, you don't need to answer right away. Take your time. I'll go use the restroom. Do Wan smiled to himself, thinking there must be a reason for my incredible strength. This is a sign from the gods, leading me out of this life of endless, failed grinding. I can start a new life now, having fun with people who are actually well known. Just as he was dreaming of his bright future, a voice called out to him. His dream was interrupted. It was Jian. He took the golden key out of his pocket and asked, is this yours? Do Wan was so surprised he couldn't find the words. How do you have my key? Jian honestly replied, I found it this morning when I bumped into you in the hallway. Do Wan remembered. Oh, I must have dropped it while I was distracted with my mission. He reached out with both hands to take the key. Thanks, Jian. Then Jian added, this might sound bad, but you really shouldn't hang out with Shin Jamin. At this, Do Wan looked disappointed. Why are you saying that? Are you telling me to stay a loser? Do you think I'll pass up this chance? I don't want to live a life like yours. He then asked, a bit suspicious, why would you say that? Jian thought back to when they first met and answered, it's just that you don't seem like a bad person. Sorry if I offended you. After hearing this, Do Wan fell silent for a moment. Suddenly, a notification board popped up, breaking the tension in the air. Only 3 minutes left. He started to panic, nervously biting his nails. Why is time flying by so fast? In 3 minutes is my life over. This could be a turning point in my life. I just need to hold on for 1 more hour, and I'll be able to walk into school with my head held high. But he couldn't let himself look so miserable in front of the younger girls. With that thought in mind, Do Wan immediately stood up. He gave Mansion a polite smile and excused himself. I'm just going to take a phone call. Ha ha. In some distant, blissful world on lush green meadows where strong elephants of all sizes roam, there's a story that says when an elephant senses its own death, it willingly leaves the herd and heads to a place where no one is around to face its fate alone. Meanwhile, in a storage room, the door was shut and locked tight, with a note stuck to it that read, "No entry without permission." The elephant in the story was much like Do Wan right now. He was biting a piece of cloth, his hands pressed together as if praying, his eyes filled with tears of fear. "I'm so scared of dying." The system announced 30 seconds remaining. Do Wan was kneeling on the floor, his whole body trembling in a pitiful state. Despite this, he was still able to think. If he wanted to join Jamin, it was probably best not to finish this task. The system announced again, 20 seconds remaining. He furrowed his brows. If he wanted to escape this miserable cycle of gaining failure, suddenly, the timer on the system started to count down faster. He whispered to himself, "This is the only way." Just as he finished speaking, a beam of light shot up from the ground. Moments later, in the entertainment room, only Manchun, Jihan, and a few girls remained. Manchun stood up and said, "I'm getting bored now. How about seeing something for me? Play 0-1817, Winter's Not Cold." The girls scoffed. "Oh, that song is so outdated, Manchun. It's so old-fashioned." He laughed and replied, "How would you girls know how the blue music genre can make a man's heart beat faster? Hand me the mic." One of the girls bent over the table, searching, and then found it. "Wait, where did the mic go?" she asked. "Someone's messing with the door handle in the men's bathroom. It's Jamin." He stepped out of the restroom, clutching his stomach, and groaned, "Oh, I think the food from school went bad or something. My stomach hurts so much." Just as he pulled out his phone, Do Wan suddenly appeared behind him, raised the mic high, and slammed it into Jamin's head. Do Wan shouted, "I won't join a bunch of scumbags like you." After being hit in the head, he was so dizzy that he couldn't control his saliva and immediately collapsed, losing consciousness. Do Wan was gasping for breath behind him. The system screen appeared, showing the mission Judgment of Injustice had been completed. Do Wan panted and said, "No matter what happens, I'd rather live as a failure than become a piece of trash like you guys." He told himself, "I swear I'm not doing this because of the punishment. I'm just glad he passed out from a single hit. He had to get Jamin somewhere hidden before anyone noticed." As Do Wan dragged Jamin's body along, he thought about Jihan, but that damn tattooed guy was still in the room. While hauling Jamin, Do Wan noticed something on the ground. It was Jamin's phone, which he had dropped while in the karaoke room still turned on. Meanwhile, Manchun was holding the mic saying passionately, she was the love of his life. Before the song ended, the phone in the tattooed guy's pocket rang, drawing attention. Manchun pulled out his phone and was shocked to see Jamin's Lenin account insulting him. "Damn pig, your singing is awful," the message said. Manchun immediately lost it over this text. Meanwhile, on the stairs, Do Wan was sitting on Jamin's lap, holding the phone and sending the attack messages. He thought to himself, "I've already done something crazy, so I might as well consider this a bonus gift." Looking at the phone screen, it was clear Do Wan was using Jamin's account to blast Manchun without mercy. To be honest, did you swallow the whole universe or something? "This is my heart speaking because I'm drunk and you wouldn't accept it, right? Want to fight? Yeah, everyone out of here, I'll be waiting for you." He thought this should be enough to make him leave, right? Time for me to slip out. Before he could make his move, he felt someone behind him. Do Wan looked up and saw Manchun standing there. When did he get there? Do Wan froze and gasped in shock. How was he here? He couldn't believe it and kept asking himself. Manchun's face was red with anger, his veins standing out, and a warning message flashed on the screen signaling an unexpected new mission. He was furious because someone had mocked him. The fight was about to begin. At that moment, Do Wan finally let go of his pride. That's it, we're done. Without hesitation, Manchun kicked him away from Jamin. Do Wan crashed to the ground with a painful cry. Manchun bent down, furrowing his brow as he asked, "Hey, you scumbag, do you know Jamin doesn't text people when he's drunk?" Saying that, he grabbed Do Wan by the collar and yanked him up. Before Do Wan could even process what was happening, Manchun landed a powerful punch. The force of the blow made Do Wan feel like his soul was about to leave his body. Manchun muttered, "Jamin's into you? Before you even hit the ground, I've got you by the face," and he continued hitting him. Each slap made Do Wan spit blood. Manchun kept hitting him while asking, "Is this how you repay someone who helped you?" Manchun didn't stop. "You're nothing but trash. Why would he want to deal with a scumbag like you? Why would he lower himself for someone like you?" Manchun looked down at Jamin's body on the ground while still holding Do Wan by the collar. He seemed surprised for a moment and then muttered, "Ha, damn, I knew it." Then Manchun's expression shifted slightly as if he had just realized something. The mic that was lost in the room was the one Do Wan used to hit Jamin on the head. It still had a visible dent on it. Manchun asked, "You hit him with that? You really are a piece of trash." Dowin wasn't backing down. He grabbed the man's wrist and said, "The real piece of trash is," then Dowin yelled, "It's you guys, always picking on the weak and stealing their money. You think I'd join you all?" Before he could finish, Mansion threw him straight into a pile of boxes behind him. The man shouted angrily, "Shut your damn mouth." Dowin crashed into a shelf, dust flying everywhere, along with powder from the bags. Mansion said, "That feeling of weakness isn't my fault. Just wait, you'll end up like this too." At that moment, the golden key in Dowin's pocket fell out. He was lying on the shelf, groaning in pain. The key completely slipped out of his pocket. Dowin stared at the key in front of him, stammering, "The key." It seemed like he realized something. He picked up the key and the information board appeared again. Golden key, legendary item. This is a golden key. Function. When you turn it, it will open something. He wondered, but where am I supposed to insert it? Suddenly, something surprising appeared, a message from the administrator. Isn't a key meant to be inserted into a lock? He asked himself, yeah, but where's the lock around here? Immediately, another system panel appeared, surprising Dowin. This one was the active skill panel. He didn't know when, but a lock had appeared in the empty slot. Dowin wondered why the skill window had suddenly changed. Wait, hold on, the shape of this, isn't it? Dowin took a few seconds to realize it was in the shape of a lock. He quickly inserted the key and turned it according to the instructions on the key. He began to twist it. Suddenly, the lock emitted a blinding light, causing Dowin to widen his eyes in surprise. At that moment, Mansion was propping Javen up against the wall, asking him a few questions. Hey, okay? Still alive? You got beaten by some trash. That's pretty embarrassing." Out of nowhere, Dowin's voice interrupted, "It hurts like hell." This made Mansion freeze for a second. Dowin, standing in the dust and smoke, added, "It really does hurt. If I can fight back, I have no pride left to call myself a man." Mansion stood up, cracking his knuckles as he said, "Seems like you've got some self-respect, huh?" Dowin confidently replied, "Of course, that's the pride of a man." But beneath his tough, confident exterior, no one knew that Dowin was actually trembling in fear at the warning flashing on the system panel. Refusal to fight will result in a penalty. Mansion's anger flared up, and he charged forward, shouting loudly, "I like that phrase. Die, come here, you trash." He swung his fist, but in contrast to Mansion's lightning-fast movements, Dowin remained still, exuding an intense aura. Inside, he thought, "I've always wondered about this. Why does this game system give me such power? Why does it keep leading me into these dangerous battles?" After a few minutes of thinking, Dowin began to pick up speed. Now he understood. They wanted to see this. Dowin gathered all his strength into his fist, and the electric currents on the ground started to follow him. He charged forward with everything he had, shouting, "You're dead, you damn pig." At that moment, an image flashed and had Dowin's mind. A defeated person killing a bully. In a game zone, there was a boy known as the Master of Zone J. This legendary boy was extremely popular in that game zone. He was famous for his unique playstyle. People talked about him all the time. The Master of Zone J wins again. 38 straight victories, and he's never been knocked off his throne. Meanwhile, players on the opposing side grumbled, so frustrating his main weapon is nothing but hiring others to grind for him. At that moment, he was leading another child around his age, who was Dowin at 10 years old. This hired laborer was still learning the ropes with a dog collar hanging around his neck. He praised Dowin, saying, "So exciting. Dowin, very good, very good." Dowin immediately barked like a dog. He continued praising, "If you keep this up, you'll definitely reach 40 consecutive wins." He patted Dowin on the head, and Dowin barked again. The people around them started talking about the way the boy was leveling up so quickly. Why does he need to hire someone to do this for him? I don't know either. The main skill of this hired laborer was his ability to finish off any opponent. At that moment, Dowin's character was dodging and attacking the opponent continuously, and with a single kick, he struck the opponent in the head, ending the match. KO! That was the Eagle Landing, a skill Dowin had just unlocked, a move he used when he was younger, working as a hired laborer. The active skill required 120 mana, and it involved jumping and using his foot to attack the opponent. Dowin rushed toward Mansion, thinking to himself, "This is all I need." Even though there was a clear size difference compared to the tattooed guy, the man swung his fist and shouted loudly, "Come on, kid." No matter how hard he hit, with this skill, Dowin thought, "I'll definitely win. I'm going to win." Without hesitation, Dowin charged forward, using the momentum to throw a punch and shouted, "Die, you damn pig." But suddenly, a warning appeared, not enough mana. He was stunned and muttered, "What the hell?" Seizing the moment while Dowin was frozen, unable to act because of the lack of mana, Mansion immediately threw an uppercut. Damn it. Dowin cursed just before he was hit, blood splattering across his face. Mansion watched as Dowin tumbled down the stairs, then turned his head sneering. "What's up with that guy? He's like a piece of crap." Ha ha! How Do Wan struggled to get up, groaning in pain. He thought to himself, this is insane. Stupid system. Grinding his teeth in frustration, his eyes burning with anger, he grumbled, I only have 100 mana, and I needed 120 to use that skill. Fuming, Do Wan gritted his teeth. That stupid golden key thing was the reward for beating Min Shiolwu. Thinking back, he muttered, the mission reward. There was something with it. Where's that key? I didn't see it when I fought Jamin. A quest window popped up, and from it fell the key. This time, the place where I finished the quest was in front of a bathroom door. Now I don't have any other choice. I have to head there. With that thought, he ran over and grabbed the door handle. But before he could even touch it, Do Wan was suddenly yanked hard backward by Manchun. The man struck Do Wan in the side and threatened him. Where do you think you're going? Looks like you're not just some ordinary trash after all. As he spoke, he swept Do Wan's legs out from under him, causing him to crash to the ground. Manchun laughed and asked, are you a rat or something? Do Wan struggled to get up, his whole body aching, thinking to himself, my body is reaching its limit. Before things get worse, I have to figure out a way to escape. I have to run and find that key. With that thought, he immediately screamed and charged forward. This only amused Manchun. Ha ha, look at you, like you could possibly. Before Do Wan could finish thinking, Manchun's hand shot out, and in one swift motion, his head slammed into the elevator door. At the same time, Manchun pinned him down completely. When he let go, Do Wan felt dazed, his face covered in blood, and he collapsed again. Manchun chuckled. Just lie there and pretend you've lost. Why keep getting up to get beaten? You're so stupid. Ha ha! Even though he was completely exhausted, Do Wan still managed to let out a groan. This time, it wasn't from pain, but a distorted laugh, which made Manchun snort in surprise. Then Manchun used his foot to force Do Wan's head down and asked, are you laughing? Did the hit to your head make you go crazy? Do Wan couldn't speak because he was being held down so tightly. He struggled to ask, don't you see anything strange? How can I do this without being prepared? The guy laughed at Do Wan's words, mocking him. Ha ha, you really are an innocent kid. But Manchun didn't notice that the elevator had started moving. He said, look at it, begging for mercy. Do Wan interrupted, saying, think what you want, but I... Suddenly, the elevator behind Manchun made a ding sound. Do Wan finished his sentence, I'm just buying time. The elevator doors opened, revealing a dim light inside. Manchun realized something was off and froze in shock. Do Wan tried to scream loudly, everyone, attack that pig now. The guy was sweating cold, turning around in fear. What the hell is this? But when he looked back, the elevator was empty. Manchun realized he had been tricked and tricked badly. Furious, he shouted, you bastard, I'll kill you. Before he could finish, he turned around and saw that Do Wan had used the opportunity to slip away. He sprinted down the hallway leading to the restroom, running for your life. Even though you were still gasping for breath from exhaustion, you couldn't help but think to yourself, I didn't expect that trick to actually work. The moment Manchun had pinned you down in the elevator, you had quickly pressed the button to send it up. Feeling triumphant, you thought, good thing that pig's brain is just as fat as the rest of him. Where's the key? Just as the thought crossed your mind, you suddenly tripped over your own feet and crashed painfully onto the ground. Your other leg had completely stopped responding. That's when you realized you had no strength left in your legs. Even so, you forced yourself to get up, your mind screaming at you, get up now, I have to find that key fast. But before you could act, Manchun suddenly kicked the door open. The sheer shock made you collapse onto your knees. He raised a hand in a menacing gesture. Stay right there. Panic surged through you as you turned to face him, your lips trembling as you muttered nonsense under your breath. Deep inside, you knew the truth. It's over. I have nothing left. I can't run anymore. It's all over. But then, as you turned to your side, there it was, the very thing you had been searching for. The key. You asked yourself, is there still hope? He wondered to himself, am I not out of hope yet? Immediately, Do Wan picked it up. This is a bronze key, a rare item. It's used to unlock some sealed character stats. He was shocked. What the heck? The explanation is so clear this time. Should have told me this sooner. After thinking for a moment, Do Wan muttered, character stats, character info. To an outsider, it probably looked like he was chanting some kind of spell, but really he was just calling up the system's interface. The character info screen appeared. Do Wan's health was dangerously low, only 12 out of 1,000. Right now, his strength stats were sealed, but on the screen, there was a symbol that looked like a lock. Do Wan noticed the keyhole there. At that moment, Manchun rushed over to where Do Wan was sitting. Do Wan whispered, hurry, hurry. Quickly, he inserted the key into the lock. As soon as he finished thinking, a burst of light flashed from the system. It was a selection questionnaire. He could choose any stat to change the character's information, and it would also permanently increase the stat. He frowned, thinking to use that skill, I need to fill up that missing mana. He immediately shouted, mana points. And that was the stat he chose. As Manchun charged toward him, he yelled, die! It was at that moment that Do Wan stood up and the system interface appeared. The system had been unlocked and his mana increased by 100 points. In an instant, as Manchun swung his attack, Do Wan ducked and then kicked him in the thigh, leaving Manchun stunned. With that momentum, Do Wan easily jumped onto his shoulder and then kicked upward. His foot, now charged with energy from the new skill, unlocked with his new skill rank, was ready for a move called Eagle's Descent. Quick as lightning, Do Wan's heel slammed down on Manchun's head, causing a massive shockwave. The force he had built up spread out too. Manchun, now like a lifeless corpse, had blood pouring from his nose and mouth, his eyes wide with shock. The system announcement rang out, Monster Yuck Manchun has been defeated. In that moment, Do Wan thought to himself, damn, I'm really. He dropped his knees, then fell forward, stiffening as he hit the ground. At the same moment, Do Wan landed and the system board appeared, confirming the mission was complete. He gave himself a pat on the back. So cool. The mission reward screen popped up. You have received a silver key. Immediately, the silver key dropped from the system board. Do Wan bent down to pick it up and slowly stood up. But by this point, Do Wan was also exhausted. He let out a tired sigh, ha. Then he muttered to himself, I won. He thought, finally, it's over. I can go home now. Just as he started to feel relief, he heard Jamin's voice from behind. Jamin, holding his neck in pain, stumbled forward, grumbling, damn, that hurts so much. Then he looked up, his face red with anger, veins bulging as he snapped, hey, Do Wan, what the hell is this? Do Wan looked at Jamin, stammering, Shin Jamin. Before he could process what was happening, a third person appeared behind Do Wan. The man looked at Manchun lying on the floor and asked, what the hell is this? Why is my little brother lying on the floor? Do Wan turned around. The man was a big guy who worked here, and he was also Manchun's older brother. He scowled fiercely and asked, did you do this? You little bastard. The guy's name was Yuck Manhwa, 19 years old, and he was the person Jamin had mentioned earlier. He worked part-time at this bar. Do Wan couldn't help but think he just said little brother. Right, the tattooed pig brother works here. He quickly recalled Jamin's introduction. This is trouble. As soon as that thought crossed his mind, a group of young guys peeked into the hallway, laughing and mocking. Ho, 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 holy shit. What's going on here? Ha ha. They had just stepped out of a karaoke room, chatting among themselves. I thought I heard something over there. An earthquake. But when they looked more closely, one of them was surprised. Who are those people? Oh, is it that Manchun? The other guy suddenly realized and started panicking. Damn, you're right. It's Manchun. Do Wan processed the information quickly. Now he remembered. Jamin had also mentioned that people from this area often came here to drink. Do Wan looked at his health bar, which was dangerously low, and he knew he didn't have enough strength to escape. I don't have enough mana to use my skills. He knew his end was near, and all he could do was sigh. This is really. He glumly looked around at the scene before him. Dozens of young guys who were regulars at this bar, all familiar with Manchun and his brother, were ready to beat him to a pulp. He finished his thought with a resigned tone, I'm done for. In that neighborhood, Jian walked through the crowded streets, wondering to himself, is it okay to be walking alone like this? Thinking about the message he used, you must have eaten the whole universe by now, huh? A message was sent to Yuck Manchun while he was in a karaoke room at a bar. He was so angry that he slammed his phone onto the table. Shit! Damn. Who the hell is this? There's no way Shin Jamin would send messages like this. Fuming, he stormed off, muttering, everyone just go handle your own stuff today. I need to find this bastard and beat him to a pulp. At that time, Manchun had left his phone on the table. Jihan, who was watching from a distance, noticed that in a place full of guys who were tough and rough around the edges, only one person would end up being their own brave. He also saw the message that popped up on Manchun's phone. The girls were asking, why are you so mad all of a sudden? Ugh, how boring. Should we just go home now? Jihan continued thinking that person must be Do Wan. He's new here, so he doesn't know anything. At that moment, the short-haired girl spoke up. All right, let me go to the bathroom real quick. She then kindly told Jian, hurry up and come back here. He responded, okay, I will. Jian then realized the last message was probably something Do Wan had sent because of him. The message said, send everyone home and wait here alone. Thinking back, Jian glanced up at the building of the bar and quietly thought, he'll be fine, right? He must have some way out of this. Back to the present, though, there was no way out. Javen, frustrated, asked, why'd you do this, Do Wan? I don't want to be your enemy. Right now, he was surrounded by a crowd of people. He thought to himself, I tried everything, but I can't figure out how to get out of this mess. He gritted his teeth and leaned in, saying, you're done for, you little bastard. Do Wan was sweating nervously. He wondered, is today the day I'm going to die here? Before the tension could grow any further, an employee rushed in panting. He shouted loudly, announcing that the police were here and everyone was shocked. He explained someone just called the police, so they're on the first floor now. If you're underage, leave through the emergency exit. I'll try to buy you some more time. After hearing this, they all felt discouraged and started leaving, yawning and grumbling. Why now? Damn cops. I was about to beat this guy up. This is so frustrating. While Dowan remained frozen like a statue, manhwa quickly picked up the younger guy's body. Before leaving, he added, "You were lucky you know that." Then he and Jamin hurriedly left. He didn't forget to lecture Dowan either, glaring straight at him as he said, "We got your face memorized, so don't think we'll let you off easy." Dowan just stood there frozen and silent, watching them leave. He was terrified, thinking to himself, I'm still alive, but I need to get out of here. Before he could think too much, Dowan felt a sharp, paralyzing sensation spread from his head down to his toes. Having just come back from the brink of death a day ago, with wounds from both Minchiel and Yup Mansion piling up, plus the side effects of using a skill, his body couldn't take it anymore. In that moment, as his body released the pressure it had been holding in, Dowan passed out. He collapsed, face down, unconscious. In the dark, fading moment before he lost consciousness, Dowan thought, oh, what just happened? He slowly opened his eyes. Standing by the door was a girl. As Dowan fully opened his eyes, he was stunned. It was her, the short-haired girl he had secretly liked. She asked, "You're awake now. You should have woken up earlier." When the girl finished speaking, Dowan immediately remembered her. She was one of the 3 female students who had come here. Why is she and I here? Dowan wondered. Why are you and I here? As he was speaking, the girl quickly covered his mouth. She whispered for him to keep quiet, which made him blush and feel very awkward. The girl then revealed, "This is the women's restroom." Dowan was shocked. He whispered back, following her lead, "Why am I here? What's going on? What kind of situation is this?" The girl calmly replied, "The police are still outside, but I don't think they'll come in here." At the restroom door, an older staff member was trying to explain things to 2 police officers. What do you mean a minor? There's no way that's true." Dowan seemed to understand and asked, "All right, then who called the police?" The girl immediately held up her phone in front of him and said, "I did. I told them someone was selling alcohol to minors." He was a bit confused and said, "But you drank too. Don't tell me you did it to cover for me." The girl fell silent upon hearing that. She said, "I witnessed it. The moment you got into the fight, it took me back to when Dowan kicked Mansion in the head. Just as the girl was opening the door to the bathroom, she happened to see it. Her eyes went wide in surprise, and then she started telling her story. I thought you were just a loser, but it turns out you're not that bad, even though it looks like you didn't really think about the consequences afterward." At this point, Dowan started feeling a bit full of himself. Oh my God, could it be that she was already falling for his unexpected charm? He tried and play it cool, putting on his best handsome look as if he never had trouble making any girl swoon, and thanked her. "Thanks for helping me. Is there any way I can repay you?" She answered quickly, "Don't worry about it." Then she leaned in, propped herself up against the wall, and said, "I saved you once. Just give me what I want and we'll be good. Is that okay?" The girl moved so close to his face that Dowan couldn't help but blush. He stammered, sure." The next morning at his apartment, the phone on the table kept ringing. Dowan groggily reached for it, trying to turn the phone on while still half asleep. He answered, "Hello?" The voice on the other end immediately shouted, "Why haven't you answered your mom's calls?" Dowan mumbled, "Mom, it's just one day. I haven't contacted you for just one day. I was so tired I came home and fell right asleep." The voice on the other end responded, "One day? It's been 3 days, you know that." He let out a surprised grunt. His mom continued, "Anyway, as long as I know you're alive, I'm going back to work now. Bye." Before Dowan could say anything, she hung up. He sat there in silence, wondering if he really had slept for 3 whole days. "The day I went to the karaoke bar, as soon as I got home, I just collapsed and fell asleep." Dowan, after getting out of bed, mumbled, "I'm so hungry." After saying that, he scrolled through his phone, wondering if he should order some fried chicken. He continued his train of thought, thinking it made sense. After all, this was the first time in his life he had gotten into a fight, and not just any fight. He had fought 3 thugs in one day, even though the second guy was a little different. But once you actually fight, it's real, right? It wasn't a big deal. Just an easy win, right? At that moment, Dowan was in the bathroom, shampooing his hair while talking to himself. Maybe I'm actually pretty strong. My body and mind have recovered now. He slowly turned on the machine. The first thing I should do is log into the game, find that admin, and ask about the system. Dowan then put his pink headphones back on, determined to find some proof. Suddenly, the system sent a notification. The ID that led to the ending does not exist. He was surprised. What? I knew this wouldn't be easy, but he didn't expect that ID to be deleted. Dowman wondered to himself, then what did that guy need the fire god's great sword for? Dowman thought for a moment and realized, that guy doesn't want to contact me. He only sent me a one-way message through the system window. If that's the case then, right, that means I have to figure out the system on my own? He paused, his eyes narrowing. Today is the start of the Great Maple Leaf Burn event, after all. First, I need to know 3 things. First, this system is designed like a role-playing game. I'm basically just a character in it. There are levels, stats, and rankings. I can even use skills. Second, the thugs are monsters in the system. He recalled the system notifications from before. You've defeated the monster Min Chiolwoo. You've defeated the monster Yuck Manchun. And when he defeated them, Dao remembered the keys dropping as quest rewards. After completing a quest, I get a key just like getting an item after taking down a monster. Third, using the keys will make me stronger. Then Dowin rummaged through his pants pocket. Now, where did I put that key? He finally found it, the silver key, which is part of the hero's item set. This key unlocks a sealed passive skill. He said, if you count the silver key I just got, I now have 3 types of keys. Each one unlocks a specific ability. Once an ability is unlocked, it can't be sealed again. The bronze key unlocks character stats. The silver key unlocks passive skills, and the gold key unlocks active skills. The first skill is the destructive kick. At that moment, the system displayed the message, you've reached the final rank. The account used for grinding has been sealed. The special effect of the sealed account will be triggered. And finally, the warning message. All active skills are locked due to the seal. Once unlocked through the special effect of the rank, I could only unlock it again with a key. The only other information I had was about the punishments. Dowin looked terrified just thinking about it. His face turned pale and he stammered, it's so scary. But the biggest problem is that I've turned Shin Jamin's group into enemies. Now that things have already happened, I need to carefully think about what to do next. After thinking for a while, Dowin finally got up from his seat, tossed his headphones aside, and shouted, aha, fried chicken. So for the rest of the spring break, he decided to slowly consider that. Dowin excitedly ran outside, here. As soon as Dowin stood in front of the door holding his card, he suddenly received a mission notification from a boy-turned-man. That girl wants you. Accept the mission and satisfy her. He was surprised. That girl. Before he could finish thinking, the door slowly opened and he was shocked. Oh, who is it? Standing in front of him was the short-haired girl from the other day. He panicked and stepped back. W, what are you doing in my house? She stepped forward. You said you'd satisfy my wish, right? Once inside, the girl took off her coat and said, now let me tell you. She started undressing. Hearing that, Dowin broke into a cold sweat. He blushed and awkwardly said, what? Don't tell me. Are you really making me do that with her? Dowin stammered, unable to believe what he was hearing. What did you say? What the heck? She stood in front of him, asking if he wanted her to repeat it. He continued to think, have I ever done this before? Dowin felt completely embarrassed, awkwardly covering his face. She ordered, take off your pants. A message appeared on the screen. Do you accept? Dowin stared at the notification, still in disbelief, and asked, what? What did you say? Say it again. She gave the command again, take your clothes off. He wondered with a sense of surprise, can I actually do this? Is this really happening? His first time experience, Dowin smiled nervously and started taking off his shirt, repeating, take your clothes off. She asked again, you have other clothes in your room, right? He was confused. Oh, other clothes? What? He was startled and feeling flustered, shouted, wait, why do I have to be shirtless? The girl didn't respond. Instead, she said, it's really hot in here. Turn off the heater. He realized he had been staring at the window for so long that he hadn't even noticed. Dowin quickly got dressed and followed her into the bedroom, saying, why did you come here without telling me anything? And how did you get my address? She calmly opened the wardrobe and replied, I don't have your number, so I couldn't contact you. As for the address, it's from the time you fainted and I had to drag you somewhere else. I found your apartment key behind your phone. On the back of your phone case was the apartment number. If you find it, please leave it in the mailbox for room 502, building 103. While rummaging through the clothes, she added, by the way, is this really all the clothes you have? They're all stuff that bookworms would wear. He answered, my mom bought all of them. The girl laughed and said, just kidding. Doesn't really matter. Dowin then gulped, sweat dripping down his face. In the end, this was the first time in his life going shopping with a girl. As she walked out the door, she reminded him, let's go buy some clothes first. The system message was definitely talking about literal satisfaction. Outside, she watched Dowin as he left the dressing room and he stammered, yeah, sure. Inside, he was thinking, this is a mess. I'm so confused. This isn't the shopping experience I expected. He kept checking himself out of the mirror, looking at his super street-style outfit and wondered, do people really dress like this? What's this hand warmer thing? She commented, this doesn't really suit you. She added, you're going to be with me all day, so if you look too weak, it'll be a problem. He replied, I'll probably look weak no matter what I wear. All day, she asked. Yeah, there's a place I want to go with you. She handed him a jacket and said, this is what I want, so don't try to make excuses. Try this on. He awkwardly agreed, okay. After walking around the clothing racks for a while, she finally got a response from him. How about this? She looked at him surprised and said, not bad. Do looked very much like a young, trendy guy. He thought to himself, this is the first time I've dressed like this. It feels so strange. Then, when he received the compliment, he felt happy. Really? Just then, another notification popped up. It was an old task. The kid had leveled up to manhood and was now at level 2. He had to invite her to eat. He thought to himself, all right, this is a task. I'm so happy I forgot all about it. Am I moving on to the next task already? Since this is just a game, it shouldn't be too hard to bring this up with her, right? This actually makes me feel more confident. With that thought, I decided to speak up. Are you hungry? Let's go grab something to eat. I know a really good restaurant nearby. She immediately replied, sure. Now, I want to kick myself for even thinking that. Sitting across from her while we ate, the atmosphere at the restaurant still felt pretty tense. I thought to myself, it's been 30 minutes and we haven't said a word. Doesn't she like the food? But so many YouTubers come here. With that, I picked up my bowl and quickly finished it. I said, come to think of it, I still don't know your name. She answered, Cyan. I smiled and said, oh, Cyan, that's a really nice name. But in contrast to Do Wan's sincerity, Cyan remained quiet, just staring at him, which made him mumble to himself. Ah, I really miss my mom. She asked, is there anything else? He jumped a little. She asked again, is there anything else you want to know? He replied, well, to be honest, I don't really know anything about you. What should I ask first? Cyan stayed silent for a moment before saying, you'll get to know more little by little. We'll be seeing each other often in the future. Then she stood up and said, let's go. We still have plenty of time. This left him surprised. Often? What does she mean by that? At the movie theater, the system's message appeared. The boy's task was to become a man and move to high school, watching a movie with her. Right now, he sat next to Cyan and said to himself, this feels like a dream. Then the next task popped up. The boy's mission was to move to the next level, spending time alone with her at a cafe. He was currently spitting out his coffee and thought to himself, this is way more fun than when I passed the entrance exam for high school. At the carryout bar, Cyan also made space for him to sit beside her. The system's message appeared again. The boy's task was to level up by singing her a sweet song. He wondered to himself, why are these tasks popping up so quickly? The system is supposed to help me defeat the bad guys, right? Then, another task appeared, level 6. Show off your coolness at an arcade. He was holding 2 drumsticks and a drum. Cyan was beside him doing the same. Do Wan started sweating and thought, wait a minute, isn't this supposed to be a date? As the game started, he immediately began hitting all the notes to keep up with the rhythm. His drumming skills stunned the other players around him. They whispered, what the heck? What kind of rhythm is that? Oh my god, is that a pro rhythm game player? After finishing, he was already sweating heavily, his face drenched. He wiped his sweat and said, you've been moved. You've completely taken in the heavy breath of a passionate man. Maybe my charm will attract her too. Yeah, perfect. Everyone around him praised him. Why don't you join our group? You're pretty amazing, really great. But Do Wan looked over and saw Cyan staring at a claw machine with fish plushies. He looked at it for a moment, then suddenly ran off, shouting loudly, Cyan, I'm going to the bathroom for a bit. You two wait here, and Cyan, you just wonder what's going on. 10 minutes later, he had a handful of fish plushies. Do Wan wondered, I wonder if she'll like all these? Heh, if she suddenly gets emotional and likes me, that might be a bit tough. He chuckled as he walked, then asked, where did Cyan go? He spotted her leaning against the basketball hoop, scrolling through her phone, and called out, ah, there she is. He yelled, Cyan. Inside, he thought, today is the happiest day of my life. Before he could finish his thoughts, someone grabbed his hair from behind, pulling him back sharply and asking, who are you calling? He picked up a fish, raised an eyebrow, and asked, who are you to call Cyan's name like that? He yelled loudly and then groaned, of my hair is falling out. Do Wan, I feel like I'm going to die from the pain. In his mind, he thought, what's going on suddenly? Who is this guy? He grabbed Do Wan's hair in front of the girls. They were confused, asking, hey, what's with this little fish plushie? Hey, who's this puppy? Does he know Cyan? He also wondered, does he know Cyan? He seems kind of familiar. Then the guy turned to the girls and asked, so you guys say this is a fish plushie? The girls immediately responded, are you really going to give this to me? You're going to give it to me, right? Suddenly, a voice rang out, "Let go of him, Suan Kang." The guy looked at her in surprise, then immediately let go of Dowan's hair, causing him to stumble and fall. "Oh, sorry. Do you know this guy?" Dowan thought to himself, "I knew things were going too smoothly, and now it ends like this." The guy looked at him and asked, "Why didn't you answer quickly? I thought this was supposed to be the moment you speak up to fight a bully." He stood in front of Dowan and asked, "Who are you?" Sayan spoke up, "He's my boyfriend," which completely shocked him. Both of them were surprised and asked at the same time, "Really?" She replied, "You must realize you're interrupting our date, so please leave us alone. Let's go, Dowan. Forget about him. He's just a neighbor, not my friend." With that, Sayan reached out to help him stand up. Dowan looked back at the pile of stuffed animals, feeling a bit regretful. "Wait, my anchovies." The young man seemed a bit confused and asked, "Is he really Sayan's boyfriend?" The two girls tightly grabbed his arm, looking a bit skeptical. "Who is that girl? She's so scary." The afternoon passed quickly. Dowan, almost in a daze from happiness, kept muttering to himself, "Boyfriend, boyfriend, boyfriend." It wasn't until Sayan called out, "We're here," that he snapped back to reality and accidentally shouted, "Boyfriend." Then his expression completely changed, cold and distant, as he looked around and asked, "Wait, where are we?" "Aha!" He raised his hand and said, "This isn't the place I thought it was, right?" Sayan replied with a soft vim and said, "No matter what happens, just keep following me. Did you promise to stay with me all day today?" The place Sayan wanted to go was the karaoke bar from before. The mission screen appeared, showing the task. The boy was leveling up to become a man, reaching level 6. This was the last place she wanted to go, so they went inside. Dowan was in the elevator, staring at the button, thinking to himself, 7th floor, no doubt about it. Sayan is heading to that place. The 7th floor is room 701. Dowan spoke up. "Sayan, no matter how fast we're moving, this feels a little too much, don't you think? Maybe it's a bit early. We should be focused on studying right now, and besides, I haven't even mentally prepared for this." Sayan calmly replied, "Don't worry." The elevator doors opened, and she stepped out first, speaking as she walked. "Just stay right there. I'll handle the rest." He stammered. "Wait, really?" Dowan thought to himself, "I can't back down now. I have no choice but to convince her. I should probably say something like, take 1 step forward, then 2 steps back." He started to speak. But Sayan about this. She was already walking away. Dowan noticed a note on the door that said closed and wondered, "Those rooms are closed though, so why are we even here?" Dowan asked, clearly confused. She stepped out, and in front of her was a group of people sitting down. He wondered, what's going on here? He looked up at the sign, 202X, One-Act District, the annual meeting of the gangsters. In front of him were hundreds of gangsters gathered for the meeting. Dowan was shocked. What is this scene? The host then banged the gavel. Order, everyone. As mentioned earlier, this is the first item on today's agenda. He held up a remote and pressed a button, continuing, "Lately, there have been dangerous individuals causing harm around the school area and the karaoke spots, resulting in some casualties for our side." On the screen, Dowan's information appeared. Name, Ha Dowan, age 18, second-year student at Sheehan High School, residence at Borman Building. The host went on, "Second-year student at Sheehan High School. We need to deal with Ha Dowan." The gang members started whispering, "That's him. The guy who took out a few of our guys in one day. He looks pretty normal to me." Dowan looked over at Sayan, sweating nervously, and asked, "Sayan, what's going on?" She stayed silent. The host spoke again, "Let's move quickly. Those in favor of eliminating him, raise your hand." Immediately, dozens of hands shot up, leaving Dowan stunned. The host declared, "Everyone is in agreement." At that moment, Dowan trembled with fear. The host announced, "From this moment on, Ha Dowan has been designated as the target of 297 members of the One-Act Gang." The system interface suddenly appeared, and the boy's task in this branch finally transformed him into a man. A real man who loves the thrill of gambling his life, escaping from hopeless situations at the last second. Violence was a common sight in school, stemming from groups that used force to steal money or commit other crimes. It was a kind of pack mentality, always showing off and enjoying the freedom that came with no boundaries. The only reason they acted this way was because they were a group. There were many ways to rise to the top and lead a group within the One-Act community. They had also chosen a leader. Dowan, at that moment, wondered, "What the hell is this? Who are these people?" He stammered, unable to believe it. Is this what it takes to become a man? His final task read, "A true man is willing to risk his life and will eventually emerge from a difficult crisis on his own." The system also notified him that for consecutive tasks, rewards would be given after completing the last one. He thought to himself that the most important thing now wasn't the reward. He whispered to Sayan, trembling, "Sayan, I thought everything was settled. Did you bring me here to sell me out?" She remained silent. The host said, "This issue is resolved. Let's move on to the next one." He observed the person and silently wondered, what's he doing with a hammer in his hand? Cyan spoke up, "Wait a second." The host asked, "What's going on?" Cyan replied, "Not this. Can we move straight to the final issue? That way we can." She thought she had been helping Do Wan, but it turned out she was part of Wan. Do Wan, standing in the background, faced the wall as the thugs nearby started whispering. Who's the person next to her? Oh my gosh, Cyan is the best. What's happening now? He thought, scared. Everyone's definitely looking this way. Am I going to be kicked out or punished? At that moment, she spoke again, next product. The host asked, "Are you talking about the position that's been left vacant, waiting for the election of the Borome leader?" He adjusted his glasses. Do Wan trembled as he looked at the host, thinking, an election for leader? Are they planning some kind of voting session or something? These people are crazy. Just as he was about to leave, Cyan spoke again. Is that right? Yes, that's right. I've finally found the right person. He moved quietly, thinking to himself, if I sneak out towards the door, I might be able to escape. Cyan didn't let him get away that easily. She grabbed Do Wan's shirt and said, "I'll speak on his behalf. Who's about to lead Borome is Do Wan." With that, she pushed his face out in front of everyone. Do Wan was stunned, completely freaked out. Since when had he been labeled as the chosen one? He took a shaky breath, trying to process what was happening. Now, Do Wan was the candidate for the leader of Borome. The crowd buzzed with excitement. Isn't that the guy on the screen? Does he really deserve it? That's crazy. Ha ha. The host spoke up. If he isn't someone who will harm our side, then he's not an issue. Cyan cut in. No, he's the perfect candidate. Just the fact that he took down 3 people in one day makes him more than qualified to be the leader. One of the red-haired guys in the crowd turned and asked, "Hey, why are you so quiet?" She's saying that guy is proving his leadership by beating people up. The guy glued to his phone responded, "Ha, well, that's not wrong." That was Han Unsung, 18 years old, and the leader of Silim. Do Wan, now a bit panicked, asked, "What the hell is going on?" "Cyan, there's no way I'm getting involved with those thugs, and what's this nonsense about being a leader?" She told him, "Think it through." "Where are you right now?" He recalled what the organizer had said. In second year of Shinen High, he caused us trouble. Anyone who agrees to deal with him, raise your hand. The decision will be made by the majority. All right then. Do Wan will become the target of 497 people in Wanak area. He trembled and said, "Even so." Cyan tried to convince him. If you become one of them, no one's going to make you take responsibility for anything. You don't have any other choice, or you could fight all 500 of them if you want. Sweating, he replied, "You're right in some ways, but still, I appreciate you thinking about me." She said, "I'm not doing this for you. There are a lot of idiots eyeing that spot, so I'd rather have you take it than anyone else." He was a little surprised. Idiots? The elevator dinged. The person who stepped out was the guy Do Wan had run into at the amusement park. He turned around, feeling awkward and stuttering, thinking to himself, is this the guy I met at the amusement park? The guy cheerfully asked, "Cyan, why did you tell me there was a meeting today?" She responded, surprised, "Suan Kang, why are you here?" Suan then said, "When you mentioned something about a boyfriend, I started getting suspicious. Are you doing this to hide something?" He laughed eerily, and it was clear that he was another member of Boroma. Suan then shifted his gaze to Do Wan and asked Cyan with a grin, "Ha ha, even if you don't want me to be the leader, do you really think this guy is suitable?" It left Do Wan feeling a bit uncomfortable. Ha! Without warning, Suan suddenly grabbed Do Wan by the throat and lifted him up, choking him so he couldn't breathe or speak. Suan continued to ask, "Do you really want someone like this to be the leader? What are you thinking, Cyan?" He started hitting Do Wan's hand, but then he realized something was off. His arm felt as hard as stone. He couldn't breathe. While Do Wan struggled for air, Suan kept taunting him. "See? All he knows how to do is flail around." The leader of the group spoke up, trying to intervene. "We're in front of a lot of people, so please control yourselves. The leader of Borome is you. Do Wan, right?" Suan let him go, dropping him down to the ground, and then turned to respond. "Ha, I'm the leader." "Got it?" Cyan snapped angrily. "Stop with your nonsense, you can't do it." The thugs watching started to feel both entertained and bored. What are those guys even doing? But isn't that Do Wan guy weak? Oh my god, Cyan yelling at him still looks so charming though. The host spoke up, "So we have 2 candidates for the leader position. Looks like we don't have any other choice. Let's continue." Do Wan lay face down on the ground, clutching his neck and catching his breath through his mouth. He thought to himself, what's going on? Then he tried to explain, "Sorry, I didn't mean to become." Suddenly, everyone started getting up, confusing Do Wan even more. What's happening? Why is everyone standing up all of a sudden? Why are they spreading out and forming a circle around me? The host spoke again, explaining the game will end if one side admits defeat or defeats all the opponents. If Hadawan wins, he will be recognized as the leader of Borama. At that moment, Suan rotated his shoulder and confidently said, "Oh, it's time to make my move." Meanwhile, Dawan was filled with dread. He thought frantically, "Wait a minute, these crazy people. Are we seriously doing this? Just 20 seconds ago, they said they wouldn't cause a scene. Leader? Damn it, if you want it so badly. You do it yourself," he thought, sweat pouring down his face. "Don't think too much, just give up already." Then the host added one more line. "But if you lose, you'll be dealt with by everyone here." That sentence made Dawan reconsider his earlier thoughts. Shit, damn it. Suhan chuckled and said, "Don't blame me, Cyan. You got caught because you weren't careful." Dawan muttered to himself, "Well, looks like I've got no other choice." Suhan, feeling confident, continued, "All right, just let me handle Borama, okay?" Dawan muttered under his breath, "It's come to this." Suhan turned to ask, "What are you standing there staring at?" But before he could finish, Dawan dashed behind him and launched a kick. It was an evil strike, a powerful blow to the opponent's head. Everyone around them gasped in admiration. Wow, that wasn't bad at all. Finally got to see it in person. Truly impressive. As the smoke cleared, it became clear that Suan had easily blocked Dawan's kick. The crowd's opinion started to shift. It wasn't Borome's kick after all. It was Kang Suhan. The kid was strong, no doubt. Ha ha, was that kick not strong enough? Is that what happened? Dawan, now balancing himself, looked surprised. "Whoa," he laughed, "you got me there." He thought to himself he blocked it. Even Yup Manchun went down from that move. My skills are like a one-time use thing. If I don't have another move, how can I win? A warning sign popped up. You don't have enough mana. Before Dawan could finish thinking, Suan had appeared behind him without him noticing. Suan grabbed Dawan by the neck and whispered in his ear, "What are you thinking so hard about?" Dawan muttered to himself, "This is bad." Only then did he truly feel trapped by Suhan's chokehold, lifted off the ground with nothing he could do, but struggle and groan. He wondered to himself, is he really squeezing me again? In front of a crowd of dozens of people, Suan spoke up, "No matter how much you struggle, I won't let you go." Dawan gritted his teeth, trying to stay calm, and then a thought hit him. "Ah, I remember now. He's kind of like... I knew it. I've seen him somewhere before. I didn't recognize him because he's changed so much." By the last sentence, Dawan's eyes widened and he groaned in despair. "I remember that summer. It was so hot and I couldn't breathe." Right now, he was being choked by a fat guy. Dawan desperately tried to break free from his grip, but it was hopeless. The guy, clearly enjoying himself, said, "Don't bother struggling. I won't stop until you meet the Grim Reaper." By then, Dawan had his eyes wide open, realizing that the fat guy from back then was Suan Kang from the freshman year, looking no different from a barrel. When he finally stopped struggling, his friends began to laugh and comment. "What's going on? What's wrong with him now?" "Oh, he passed out again. Ha ha." Back then, it was common for games to knock people out. Even while eating, that fat Suhan guy choked him and said, "You won't stop until you finish eating." Dawan almost choked, but still tried to hit his hand away. Even when he was using the bathroom. While Dawan was peeing, Suan bothered him. He choked him again and, enjoying it, said, "I can't leave until you're done." Wow, that's a lot of water. Dawan felt a deep pain inside. Seriously, that guy was driving him crazy. But what really scared him wasn't passing out. After he fainted from Suhan's grip, Dawan slowly opened his eyes. He saw a bunch of students laughing at him, some even pulling out their phones to take pictures. Now Dawan was sitting on the floor, pants down. The thing he feared the most was what he had to face when he woke up. Suhan stood there laughing, giving a mocking thumbs up, saying, "Well, now that's a real man. Because of you, I had to suffer so much humiliation. Back then, in front of the girls in class, I had to lower my head and become a total failure." Dawan slowly came to after passing out, and Suan, standing in front of everyone, said loudly, "Ha, this is too funny." Inside, Dawan was filled with rage. A guy like him didn't deserve to live long. He should just die. The result was so clear. But, have you lost weight? You look really handsome. Do you have a girl chasing after you now? He slowly pulled himself together in his own thoughts. He didn't want to lose to a jerk like him. What should he do? The thug started murmuring again. "What's this? It's already over? Who do you think could possibly beat Suan Kang?" "Ha ha, I can already tell you have no chance of winning." "Ha ha ha." Hearing that, Dawan realized something. Chance? What are my chances of winning? A skill he could only use once had been blocked from the start, and with his own failed move, he couldn't do anything except struggle. There was no hope left. Suan happily said, "Now I'm the leader of Borama. No one's gonna complain, right?" Ha ha ha. Looks like it's really over. The only thought left in Dawan's mind was to stand up, surprising Suan. Ha! He asked, "Oh, you want to keep fighting? Well, this time you're really going to be in trouble." Do Wan replied seriously, "Worry about yourself first. From now on, I'm going to show you what I can do." He got so worked up that he took off his jacket and charged forward. His smile had turned into something darker. That was the only way he could react at that moment. On the battlefield, Do Wan's jacket was thrown on the ground. Everyone around was impressed. Wow, is that for real? I can't believe my eyes. Whoa, Do Wan was landing some crazy punches. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen so many hits thrown at once. It's unbelievable, like a cat scratching. Haha. Even though Do Wan was throwing punches, Suwon was still managing to block most of them. He focused all his energy and thought to himself, just a little more, just a little more. At 7 o'clock, before he pulled the key out of his pocket, he thought, now, where did I put that? The reward for defeating Yup Mansion was a silver key. Do Wan held it in his hand. It was said to unlock the passive skills that had been sealed for the character. Do Wan noticed the words passive skills. This thing unlocks passive skills? Then he inserted the key into a slot on the passive skill board. Click! A flash of light appeared, causing Do Wan to gasp in surprise. A system notification popped up. Exclusive passive skill of rank unlocked. An information board appeared showing a critical strike as part of the passive skill. The mana required for it was 0. When you attack, there's a 1% chance to land a critical strike while ignoring the target's defense stats. He was taken aback. A critical strike? He ran slowly. A critical hit plus ignoring the target's defense, and it's a passive skill that doesn't use any mana. This is exactly what I needed. But then, considering the 1% chance, he felt a little panicked. But isn't this a bit too harsh? That means out of 100 hits, only one will actually trigger. Do Wan muttered to himself, last time it gave me a skill I couldn't use because of the mana cost. Now it gives me a skill that's actually useful. I had stopped thinking about it because it seemed useless. Now I have no choice but to go for the critical strike. There's no other option. Do Wan kept throwing punches like a cat swiping its claws. He thought to himself, I've decided to use a strategy of relentless hits like a monkey's brain. Everyone laughed at his fighting style. Ha ha, that guy is hilarious. Ha ha ha. Even Cyan, embarrassed, covered her face. Do Wan kept throwing punches, thinking that if he just kept going, it would eventually trigger the effect. He counted each punch, 73, 74, 75. This was the best opportunity as his opponent was still in shock. He said, too fast, huh? Too fast, huh? You only see after images, right? His opponent asked, what? What is this? Quickly, the numbers shot up, 85, 86, 87. Suan was sweating. Are you messing with me? Do Wan muttered to himself, this is really cruel. Then the numbers kept climbing, 96, 97, 98, 99. Do Wan raised his hand high. Could it really be asking him to land 100 hits? Suhan stared in surprise at Do Wan's punches, but in the end, Do Wan just hit him in the chest normally. The number hit 100, but nothing happened. Suan asked, what are you doing? Ha ha. At that moment, Do Wan was scared. In the game, random algorithms were one of the factors that couldn't be replaced. The random algorithm ensured fairness for everyone and allowed equipment upgrades to form through chance. At the gaming shop, a player moved their mouse to the upgrade button and screamed, ah, failed again. The employee, who had been cleaning dishes, jumped in surprise. Achieving satisfaction from real-life success isn't that easy. Do Wan, who was 13 at the time, was at an internet cafe trying his luck. His friend sitting next to him laughed and asked, ha ha ha, do your parents know you're spending all your extra money on leveling up instead of using it for English classes? Do Wan, still fuming, responded, why should I care? I'm using it for math lessons now. His friend burst out laughing, shit, ha ha. Because of that satisfaction, everyone kept challenging their limits every day. The guy asked again, or maybe that random algorithm is just rigged. Do Wan replied, nonsense. This time I'm gonna make it because I've failed so many times. This time I'll get it, but still, be careful. The friend asked again one more time and it'll break. Are you sure? Do Wan, determined to answer, I'm telling you this time it will work. The random algorithm also gives a chance of failure. When it came to the final level up, the system's failure notification drove Do Wan crazy. Damn this stupid game. At that moment, Do Wan was trying to use his abilities. He was sweating bullets, wondering, what the hell? Why isn't it activating? I've punched 100 times already. By theory, at least one should work. Before he could think much more, Suan grabbed him by the collar and said, what are you trying to do with those weak punches? To win a fight, he said this as he lifted Do Wan up, then made a move as if he was going to slam him down onto the speaker. With a swift motion, he threw him down hard and the speaker shattered into pieces. He continued, "You need to land a devastating blow." Do Wan was immediately dazed, unable to close his mouth. He just lay there on the floor staring up. Suhan, feeling confident, brushed off his sleeves and said, "I thought he was trying to pull something with all that nonsense, but it's probably all just a scam. Yeah, even if that guy actually had some kind of plan. To get rid of this 130-kilogram fat body, I trained every single day until my skin was raw. You won't be able to do anything to this body." Compared to the fat body he had before, now it was toned and much leaner. Plus, his body was covered in tattoos. It almost seemed like Do Wan had passed out on the spot. But then Do Wan spoke up, "Yeah, you really are. Back in middle school, you were just a fat piece of crap." Do Wan started mocking him. Suhan was surprised. "Whoa, you know me? Who the hell is this guy?" He replied, "Of course, you don't remember. It's typical for scumbags like you. The victims carry that pain with them forever, while the ones who hurt them just forget like it was nothing." Suhan pretended to think for a moment, then said, I feel a bit awkward. Maybe I said too much." Then he slowly moved closer. "I didn't do anything, did I? I really don't remember anything. Ha ha ha." Do Wan immediately backed away, saying, "No, don't come closer. Don't come any closer." He yelled in panic, then kicked at Suhan. Suhan quickly grabbed Do Wan's leg, asking, "So what now?" He immediately pulled Do Wan's whole body over to a pile of chairs, causing Do Wan to slam his face into the floor. Suhan said, "Aren't you the same? You don't really remember all those toys you played with when you were a kid. Clearly, do you?" Sayan spoke up, "Ha, Do Wan." Then the person standing next to her added, "Give it up." This caught Sayan by surprise. "Hanyeon-sung, is that you?" He stood there, observing the fight, and said, "This is just a waste of time." One side had completely lost the will to fight. Do Wan knelt there looking pale with fear, thinking, "I'm such a fool for believing in that 1% hope. There's no way I could beat that monster. How could I ever have a chance against him?" He then loosened his shoulder joints and muttered, "It's been a while, so my shoulder's a little stiff." Do Wan kept thinking, but if he gave up, those guys would take care of him. What should he do to get out of this situation? Around Do Wan and him, there were many other gang members, all waiting for a chance to handle him. Eun-seom spoke up, "The fight is over." At that moment, Do Wan pushed himself up with his hands. No, it's not. He slowly stood up, surprising everyone around him. Suhan, angry, frowned and said, "Well, you're really stubborn. Aren't you tired of the same old routine?" Sayan, in shock, said, "No way, he's been beaten so badly, and he still wants to keep going." Do Wan silently stared at Suhan, both of them facing each other directly. He thought, "I need to find a way out of here. I'll try to distract him for a bit. The best thing I can do is escape without looking back." He spoke, "Now that I think about it, back in middle school, we were pretty close. I just needed to beg my mom to let me move to some far-off island to escape the whole bullying council or whatever." He adjusted his fist and said, "What's with you all of a sudden? Did you just call me some fat, trashy jerk?" Do Wan thought to himself, "I just need to run to the emergency exit. The time is," he said, "friends always joke around like this. You know that, right? Ha ha." Do Wan immediately pushed himself to run with all of his strength. The moment was now when he realized his foot had gotten caught on his own coat. He stumbled and fell, looking down at his foot. "Oh shit. I shouldn't have taken my jacket off." In a moment of regret, Do Wan crashed towards Suhan, his hand reaching out to catch him. As his hand made contact with Suhan's body, a wave of energy surged, sending Suhan flying backward. He slammed into the elevator door, his back hitting it hard, and then his face dropped forward, his body completely losing consciousness. The elevator door now had a large dent in it. The thugs nearby started talking. "Did you see that? What the hell just happened?" Suhan Kang got thrown out like that. Sayan was in shock, unable to believe her eyes. The thugs began getting excited. "No way, wow. What just happened?" "Damn, I knew it." He gathered energy in his palm and pushed it into his enemy's body. Forbidden martial arts that destroyed bones and organs at the same time. At that moment, Do Wan's hand started to cool down, smoke rising from it. It was the Iron Fist and Fire Fist. He held his martial arts stance and thought to himself, "Not at all, you crazy idiot." The system notification sounded, "Fatal strike has been executed." He laughed while breathing heavily as he looked down at the announcement board. He had finally activated it. He had turned the game around. He didn't expect too much since it was just a passive skill, but it was way stronger than he thought. Somehow, he had won the whole match. He coughed loudly, making Do Wan look over in surprise. Suhan, blood dripping from his mouth, struggled to stand up and angrily asked, "You've had that power all this time, and you've still been pretending to be weak?" He wondered to himself, "What's up with this guy?" Suhan gritted his teeth and glared, threatening, "You messing with me? I'll kill you. I'm gonna kill you now." Do Wan thought, he took that hit and still got up. This is it. He's done for. At that moment, Do Wan was trembling all over. The group of thugs around them laughed mockingly. Look at him shaking. Ha ha ha. That guy's finished. Oh wait, he seems different now. Is he? Smiling? Do Wan was shaking uncontrollably, but it was because of the sly smile on his face. Despair was fair to everyone. Most players had been through this before, but they never stopped trying. When his friend saw Do Wan's pale face, he reached over to check on him. Hey, are you okay? You're not in shock, are you? Come on, let's go. If it's been this hard and you still haven't made it, maybe it's time to quit. The guy offered his advice because, suddenly, Do Wan's dazed expression brightened. Immediately, the computer screen displayed the message, World F2PBTWKEK has successfully leveled up to level 25 Royal Saint. Then my friend said, oh, someone's still clinging to the random algorithm. Bruh, success does exist there, but you only get to see the gift of success once. Do Wan, upon seeing the news about the world, nervously muttered to himself, look, that guy got it. No way, I couldn't do it, right? Determined, he said, I still have time to study more, and from that moment, despair turned into hope. Because of that, players around the world watched as Do Wan rushed toward him. He launched a punch, shouting, ah, players around the world have put all their hopes into the random algorithm. Do Wan charged towards Suhan, yelling, shit, and then said, one more to the chest. At that moment, Suhan blocked it with confidence, saying, I'm not going to fall for the same trick twice. But Do Wan's punch went for his nose. Suhan let out a surprised grunt. At a maximum length of 6.1 meters, weighing 1,900 kilograms, nearly 85% of its body weight is muscle. This is the top predator of the ocean, the killer shark. If you were here, you'd see two young men playing around on the surface of the water. One was worried, considering, damn it, George, I think we've drifted too far from the shore. The other one casually splashed water, laughing, ha ha, no way. Are you scared, Steve? Have you ever encountered it in the ocean? Suddenly, a huge shark came rushing up from below, its mouth wide open. Luckily, the young man unintentionally kicked the shark in the nose with his foot. Even though that creature was powerful, the nose was always its weak point. The young man didn't even realize what he had just hit and said, oh my god, something just touched my foot. The other guy laughed, you were such a coward. Ha ha, and the shark. It was like it was being bullied, swimming back to the ocean looking all confused. People are the same. No matter how much they train their bodies, they can't ever train their nose. Even a clumsy punch from a loser can hit right on it. At that moment, Do Wan struck Suhan in the nose and mouth, causing his head to jerk to the side. He shouted loudly, that's fake, you idiot. At the same time, Suhan was dazed from the blow, feeling like it was a final, crushing hit. He painfully dragged himself across the steps. Rubbing his wrist, he muttered, damn it, ha, that didn't do anything. He thought to himself, I need to land a more decisive blow. I can't afford to risk everything on that 1% chance again. Suhan's nosebleed streamed down to the floor. He screamed in agony as his nose broke. He held his nose with one hand while cursing with the other. You're dead. I'll kill you. I will. Before he could finish his sentence, Do Wan quickly wrapped his arm around him and locked his neck, using his other hand for something else. Do Wan said, shut up. In an instant, he twisted Suhan's nose, making him scream in pain. You're the one who's about to die, Do Wan shot back. Suhan could only cry out in pain. Do Wan, still furious, warned him. Give up already, I'll hold on until you do. Suhan looked like he was about to cry, blood still dripping from his nose as he yelled, you bastard, you. Everyone around them was shocked. Wow, this is insane. I've got goosebumps. Damn, that kid really knows how to fight. Cyan, standing nearby, was equally stunned by the scene. Suhan screamed. R. She stared wide-eyed, completely confused, thinking, what is happening right now? Finally, Suhan gasped out the last words. I give up. Immediately, Do Wan released him and Suhan collapsed to the ground. He breathed heavily, looking at the person lying in front of him, his mouth trembling. I did it. I did it. Behind Do Wan, the machine was slowly starting to smoke. When I got to the second word, the wire shorted out. It's over now. He had just spoken when a flame suddenly burst from behind, making Do Wan freeze in fear and turn around. Everyone was shocked by the rare and unexpected sight as it suddenly ignited. Damn it, that's such a messed up effect. How did it even happen? That's real fire. You idiot, run fast. Everyone rushed toward the door. Damn it, the elevator won't open. Do Wan stood frozen in the crowd, feeling completely helpless. Ha, ha. He thought to himself, what the hell is going on? First, a police came to the karaoke bar, now there's a fire hazard. In panic, everyone started shouting orders. Take the stairs. He was swept up by the crowd, pushed along until he had no choice but to follow. They're pulling me along. Outside, everyone anxiously waited. Meanwhile, Dowan sat there, struggling to breathe. Please just let me rest for a bit, he thought. He thought he was done for, but luckily he managed to escape safely. Someone said, "Oh, I don't see Cyan anywhere." Hearing this, Dowan suddenly realized something. They were talking among themselves. Could she still be up there? There's no way, right? She has to bring Suan Kang with her. They were all from Boromir. Standing behind the group was Unsung, who was deeply puzzled by what was going on in front of him. Dowan had disappeared at some point. He headed straight for the stairs, running up quickly, shouting, "If there's a fire or explosion, you should be running already. What are you doing here? Damn it. Why am I going up too? I don't even know her. I only know her name." Then he remembered images of Cyan, someone who wasn't really important to him, and he recalled her words. "Didn't you promise you'd spend the whole day with me?" Dowan threw open the door, calling out anxiously, "Cyan, I'm here to help." Before he could finish his sentence, he saw the host spraying the fire extinguisher, with Cyan standing there watching. He glanced at the poor machine being sprayed with foam. The host turned to him and asked, "What are you here for?" Dowan replied, "Just to ask if I can go home now." In the awkward atmosphere, Suhan was still lying there unconscious, while the two of them stared at Dowan. He muttered to himself, "I just want to disappear into the dust of the universe." That evening, remembering what the host had said while helping carry the unconscious Suhan, because of the risk of fire, the meeting is indefinitely postponed. The next meeting will be announced later. The new representative of Boromir, Senior Hadawan, sighed in frustration. He had become part of the bullying council. This had to be a dream, right? Suddenly, Cyan spoke up. "I know this is pretty confusing." He turned to look at her in surprise. Cyan, who was walking with him back, added, "But I don't want to just give you a position without any thought. I've got other plans in mind, so don't worry too much. For now, just be thankful you managed to avoid being part of the bullying council's purge." Dowan nodded. He thought to himself, "Yeah, she's right. If I hadn't become a representative, something worse would have happened. I should be happy this isn't something worse." Saya then said, "This is my place." He replied, "Oh, okay. Take care. Oh, by the way, I bought this at the arcade because it seemed like something you'd want. It's the last one I have." He handed her a little anchovy plushie. Cyan stuttered, How Dowan, you?" Then she bluntly asked, "What is this?" He looked disappointed and said, Weren't you just staring at the claw machine?" Cyan sighed and replied, "I wasn't looking at the plush toys. I was staring at the wanted poster on the wall." It was a wanted poster with the following description. "The criminal wiped out the claw machine." Description: wearing a sports shirt and shorts in winter, wearing headphones and slippers with a big nose. Reward: a statue of Rongenium worth about 150,000 won. Please catch him. Dowan stood there stunned. "My God," Cyan said again, "but thanks for what you did earlier." He was puzzled. For what?" Cyan smiled, holding a fish in her hands. "You ran back to save me." "Yeah, take care." Dowan waved back at her, saying, "Oh, you too, Cyan." Suddenly, a system message popped up out of nowhere, announcing the mission had been completed by the boy-turned-man. He breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, it was done. He muttered to himself, "A man, huh? I'm just a bully, you jerk." The system message shifted. "You have completed a total of 8 chain missions, calculating bonus points." He was a little surprised. "I did a total of 8 missions? Those dates weren't too bad. I wonder what key I'll get this time." Then the system notified him, "Mission reward has been finalized." Dowan let out a small grunt. The scene in front of Dowan left him speechless, almost unable to believe that, this is. The next morning, there were custodians cleaning in front of the school. Dowan put on his uniform, grabbed his bag, and headed out as usual. Today was the first day of 12th grade, and he knew he'd have to get to school before everyone else. Standing in front of his beloved school, Dowan made a firm decision. "I have an important mission today, and that is." He turned towards the second floor, room 3. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed. It was Dowan carrying his pile of foam racks. Of course, Dowan was a hired worker, the one who had to set everything up for others. "I need to finish setting everything up in the new classroom quickly," he thought. Dowan stood by the mat to double-check the room's location. "Let's see. My place is over here." After a moment of careful inspection, Dowan entered the classroom. He saw someone with their head down on the desk and couldn't help but admire them. "Wow, someone's even earlier than me." Dowan set his things down on a desk. "I need to set everything up so the gaming experience is optimized in here." But the noise became too loud. Dowan quickly lowered his voice and apologized to the person with their head down. "Sorry." He quietly wondered to himself, is this too much? He noticed his student ID. It was Han Yun-sung from Shinin High School. Dowan was surprised. Han Yun-sung? That name sounds familiar. He remembered what Cyan had said. "Remember this? Han Yun-sung, the representative from Silum, is the most dangerous of all the bullies in Wanak District. As he recalled those words, Do Wan started to sweat, his body trembling. The other person spoke up, "You're here? Don't be scared. Now, you're one of the representatives of the bullying council." Do Wan thought to himself, so, no matter what happens. Suddenly, the person knocked everything on his desk to the floor and stepped forward. "Now that I think about it, it's probably best to deal with you right here." He grabbed Do Wan by the collar and challenged him, making Do Wan fear for his life. Never get in his way. In a classroom, a voice echoed, "It's you." Do Wan broke out in sweat, staring at the person across from him. "Don't be afraid, you're one of the representatives now too." Black spiral-shaped items clattered to the floor. But then, Unsung grabbed Do Wan by the collar and lifted him up. "It's better to take care of you here." At that moment, Do Wan regretted everything. What is this? No, I shouldn't have gotten involved with him. Unsung easily lifted Do Wan with one hand. "I'm part of the council now too," he said. "We're on the same side, right? Shouldn't we be working together, not fighting?" Do Wan's face turned pale. "On the same side?" Unsung asked in surprise, "You still think the council won't take action against you?" Do Wan wiped the sweat dripping down his face. "But I'm already a representative of Borame now." Unsung casually replied, "Council members are allowed to clash with each other. There's a rule like that." Unsung lifted Do Wan higher using force. "In this world, strength defines hierarchy, so I have every right to hate you." Do Wan struggled, grunting. Unsung raised his hand, ready to get revenge on the guy who dared to mess with Silim. Do Wan squeezed his eyes shut, gritting his teeth, bracing himself for the slap that was about to land on his face. But in the end, Unsung didn't hit Do Wan and let him go. "Honestly, I don't really care about that," Unsung said, slipping his hands into his pockets, sounding like himself. Do Wan was dropped and fell to the ground, landing hard on his butt, groaning in pain. "Ah." Unsung looked at Do Wan. "It makes sense, we're on the same side now." Do Wan stared blankly as Unsung walked out the door. "I'll tell the others, so don't worry. From now on, no one from Silim will mess with you." The classroom started filling up with students. The guy with the bowl cut asked the guy with glasses, "Are you in class 3 too?" The guy with glasses was just as surprised. "Shit, you too." Do Wan leaned back in his chair, sighing. He thought to himself, "It's only the first day of second year, and I almost shit my pants." Do Wan was sweating. "Han Yuan-song doesn't even go to my class. Why is he waiting for me here?" Do Wan glanced around in fear. It wasn't just that. During the second break, the girls in the class were laughing and chatting with each other. Do Wan thought, why? During the third break, the boys were joking around at the back of the class. Do Wan wondered, what's going on here? At lunchtime, Do Wan sat down at a desk filled with foam stands. "Why is no one telling me to play games?" he said, standing up. "This has never happened before." He looked around the classroom. Everyone is doing their own thing, talking, sleeping, but what's strange is how quiet and peaceful the class is. He walked down the hallway between classrooms. Normally, when a new year starts, the trollwinkers would group up and pick on the weakest. In one classroom, a thug punched a chubby student in the back. "Take that," he said. He laughed mockingly. "This pig is drawing Mikyu on his paper again." The person facing him joined in, "Kimokiya, mate." The fat student curled up and shouted, "Oi oi," threatening the other students in the class, something like, "We'll make you all look just like him anytime we want." Do Wan stopped and blinked. Behind him, a student had been thrown out of the class and was lying motionless on the ground, covered in bruises. The guy in black laughed and scratched his belly as he walked out, saying, "That was a nice flight, haha." The pink-haired guy followed behind, saying, "Take your eyes off, you idiot. What are you looking at?" "Bunch of dogs." Do Wan could only stand there watching. When there's competition in the class, they solve things with violence to take control. Right now, Won Siduk is the king of the class, and everyone is working hard to become the ruler. In schools nowadays, it's survival of the fittest, the law of the jungle. This is the wild world.